Yeah, buddy, we're back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. We're going to continue the madness, you guys. Warhammer 40k. My first build, we're still doing it. So I know we only went for 3 hours last night, and I only got 2 done. But I had some trouble sleeping because all I had was 40k on the mind. So I got my ass back up, and we made 2 more Space Marines. So we made a couple more Space Marines and 1 Tyrannid. And hopefully it'll be a little easier to do it during this stream. It won't be so painful to see me go so slow. We got our book with our directions. Here we are, we're doing it. I hope you guys are having a good day, a good week so far. SG1 Wednesday today, you guys. So a little bit later today, a few hours after this stream, we're going to watch some Stargate SG1. We're going to be starting Season 3, you guys. We just killed Season 2 last Wednesday. We're starting Season 3. It's starting to kick off. If anybody hasn't seen Stargate, I recommend it. Watch it, do it. You don't need to watch it from the beginning. Just start where we're at. Watch a couple episodes, get the feel of like how dope it is. And if you like it, go back and watch the ones you missed. We got some chips, we got our soda. We're gonna be chilling with some Warhammer. We're gonna continue the video we had yesterday, The Emperor of Man Part 1. We're 41 minutes and 49 seconds in. It's an hour and 27 minutes long. But we're gonna continue that a little bit more. Put the audio on so you can hear it. Ubi, what's up, buddy? Make another Burger Trope stop motion episode. It's called Zombie and Hunger. Hell yeah, dude. I'll check it out when I'm done with this stream. Wait, you're making one right now? Will it be done today, or is it going to be out a little later? Tomorrow or something? Cool, cool. Here we are, you guys. So we're going to make the last Space Marine that I have left. There's 1 left. And then we got 9 Tyrannids to make, or I guess whatever they're called. What are they called? We got 9 Termagants and 1 Ripper Swarm to make still, and 1 Infernus Marine. Yeah. Tomorrow, excellent, pal. I'll definitely try and catch that guy. We got our tools here. We got our magnifying glass with the light. A nail file. Your trusty clippers. An X-Acto knife. I gotta find my good one though. This one's like, you know, old and borrowed. I have a nice new one somewhere. Nice and sharp. And we got another file, a metal file. I'm not sure if I like this metal file that much. I think the wooden one is a little bit better. Like, more fine. Nice. Well, let the robber steal the burger and then have the zombie eat the robber's brain because he didn't let him have his burger. Brain burger. Alright, you guys, we're gonna start up The Emperor of Man, The Rise of Humanity, Part 1. We're about 50 minutes deep. I'm gonna kill this music. Put the sound on. There's any problems with the sound besides it crackling? I think it's crackling because of some hardware issues that I have. It might not be the hardware, it might be the software, or I'm sorry, the firmware for the hardware for the OC GoStream deck. That guy, I think that's what's making it crackle, because it crackles when I play on my Switch, and I didn't think it crackled, but since somebody told me yesterday, Area 51, he's all, it's crackling, bro. Bro, I'm on the PlayStation 4 right now. It shouldn't be crackling. But if it is, that tells me that it's got to be somewhere from the OC GoStream deck to the computer. So we're going to try to figure that out later on. But right now, we're just going to continue the madness. All right, let's put on the show. I'll remove the comments. That way you can see the show. What do you guys think? Should I turn on this other little camera? Do you guys care about this other camera? I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? I'm not even looking at it, right? It's all good.
Recover from the
Oh, I got a commercial, of course. Oh, wait. Yeah, I did. Stupid commercials. Yo, Tyler, what's up, buddy? You're back. You're here. You're doing it. Here we are, you guys. Damn, dude, and they have long-ass commercials in YouTube now. Put comments back on? But if I put the comments on, you can't see what's going on the screen. All right, for a little bit. For a minute or two. Skip. Nice. All right, I only got to wait 5 seconds now. Hell yeah. There it is.
Known as the Warp. For many millennia, this had been growing more and more powerful, fueled by the nightmarish depravity that was Eldar society.
How's that sound?
Around the end of Millennium 24 and the beginning of 25,
can you guys still hear me when I'm talking while he's talking?
To recover from the disastrous war against its Men of Iron and its far-reaching impact on the previously secure and strong human
for like
Federation.
2 minutes. It sucks.
With their galactic unity destroyed, as well as suffering from the inevitable wounds of war, material shortages,
all right, you guys, we're gonna continue
of infrastructure, we would now face a new problem.
Figurines,
warp travel,
the minis,
was becoming increasingly difficult. The warp's instability, caused in part by the Eldar's depraved psychic society, meant that many ships now would become lost and consumed by the warp.
Kick on some more lights, because
this was not an issue for the Eldar themselves, as they used dark in here to travel, which were outside of that warp space. For humanity, though, it would be a severe problem, and its impact would deal the fatal blow to an already fragile empire. The losses and damage caused by the war with the Men of Iron, combined with now being unable to travel across the warp to cross those great distances in the galaxy, would ultimately return humanity to a pre-Dark Age of technology.
Let there be light.
Where only sublight travel was possible. This was a disaster. Trade and support could no longer be conducted, as these journeys would now take generations to complete. Humanity was once again isolated, as it had been millennia before. The warp storms and the isolation they would create would last for over 5,000 years, and their effect on human society across the galaxy was catastrophic. Some planets with a significantly advanced human colony would survive into the future if they had the means to defend and support themselves. It's important to understand that when a system is set up with no established backup, its collapse has an immediate and profound impact. This was the case with mankind's trade system. It had grown over time to enable many planets to survive solely on imports from other rich parts of the human Federation. 4 of the little homies made. I got 1 more Infernus Marine to go, and I got 9. Many would turn inwardly to the colony, consuming
9 Termagants
out. First,
and 1 Ripper
barbaric
Swarm
civil
to
war, and later total anarchy, fighting over the
It
scarce
just takes
resources
so
that remained.
long to do these, you guys. I mean, not long. It's not like it's bad. It's fun. It's just like, I thought it was just going to be like Legos. You put a couple pieces together and you're done. Not like
across the majority
cleaning them off, clipping them, but
even including Earth.
It gives me that peace of mind.
Large areas across the planet have become massive cities, reaching for
wrecking up the place anymore,
and having become adapted to a system where all activities were conducted by machines. Earth also now relied heavily on trade from colonized worlds to support.
You know what, pal? I have a Discord, but I don't ever really use it. But it's the same name. I mean, if you look me up, my streaming buddy, I think you'll find my Discord, or at least my person on there. If you want to shoot me an invite, because I still don't really know how to use Discord that well. I've had a couple people be like, oh, shoot me an invite on Discord, and I'm on there for like minutes and minutes trying to figure it out. The last person that told me to do it, I was just like, you know what, bro, you send me an invite. And I just threw my phone aside, and I think they had already switched off my stream by the time I said that.
Who battled out
so they never sent me that invite. It's all good, bro. I'm just saying.
This whole
A little
situation
easier
might
if you
sound
send me an
unbelievable
invite.
that society could collapse
But yeah, I'm
so
down.
quickly
I'm
and
down
to
to see your
such a
army, dude.
severe degree. But it's worth
Way
considering
down.
that in this time, human society had built itself up to be so strong in
Alright.
belief of its own invincibility that they simply did not and
The
could not
last
have anticipated the
Infernus
severity of the war
Marine.
storms, or how they would debilitate the trade and support
So
systems
they
that they
are
had been
all a
relying
little
upon.
bit different, is what
Human
I was
history
noticing
is
when I was actually
littered
like
with
putting them
examples
together.
of sheer arrogance.
There's
outweighing
one
logic and
specific
reason,
Marine
as well as
that has
blindly
like
staring down dangerous
something on his
facts
heel.
in favour
It looks
of
like it
belief
would be
in our
rocks,
own
a couple of rocks behind his
self-importance.
heel.
The lack
And
of
the funny
planning
thing
when it
is,
comes
like,
to
none of
losing
these
their infrastructure
have
across
it. You
human
see that
systems
thing behind
was
his
an
foot right
acute
there?
example of human
Right there?
arrogance.
Oh, hold on.
It would now seem as well that whatever had
Behind his
protected
foot,
human
on the
psyches from
ground.
demonic possession would
Looks like a
now
rock.
end. It's my speculation that, as previously stated,
That's the only one that
Emperor
has it, and I
was
thought,
what
oh, maybe
provided
it's
this
extra
shielding, even
plastic
though
that I was
he was
supposed
not
to
known
clip
to
off of
humanity at this
the
time.
miniature.
For he knew the power,
But
importance,
in
and
the
value
directions
of human
book,
psyches in the dark
The
times that would lie
picture
ahead.
has
Without this
has it
bubble
under his
protection
foot too. You
that
see
had
right there?
invisibly existed prior to this time, humanity's weak
he's got the little
psyches
rock
would be
thing behind his
consumed,
foot.
possessed,
So I'm
and
gonna
go
leave that
completely
there.
insane, causing
Maybe-
chaos among
Maybe
isolated,
it's supposed to be there.
colonized
Not too
worlds.
sure.
This period of complete
they all
anarchy
have
would last
something
for
a
some
little
5,000 years,
wild. It's
and
cool.
during this time, many colonies would forget their family
Yeah.
out in the galaxy,
And
as well as
hormones-
losing vast amounts of technology and knowledge. Only fragments of the glory of humanity would remain, preserved on the
You seen I
advanced
Am Legend,
worlds
Ubi?
who were capable to survive
I Am
this
Legend's a
dark
good
time.
one. Seems like they might
By
have
the
found a
28th
cure
millennium,
there.
almost all traces
Well, it
of
actually
civilization on
depends
Earth
on
were gone.
which ending
Instead,
you watch. 'Cause one of the
techno-barbarians
endings I think is
battled
the
one
ending
another
where they
over
don't
scraps
get
of the
the
ancient human race.
cure,
Mars,
and then
however,
there's another
is one
ending
of
where
the
they
few
do
worlds
get
to
the cure.
undergo a different process. After a brief
You
period
have
of
your
anarchy,
paint yet?
the tech
I
priests
have
of
the
the
paint
cult
that came in the
Mechanicus
box. I got
emerged
5 little
victorious
paints,
over the Psyker
but I
militant,
just got the
and they
primer in the
unified their
mail
homeworld.
this morning.
The priests
So,
visited Earth, but upon
after
seeing
we're
its
done building all
barren
these guys,
destruction, wrote it
I'll
off
primer
as
them off camera since
unsalvageable.
that'll be outside and stuff.
They
I
used
mean, I
any
can take the
titans
camera
they had
outside,
to help
but
them in the future.
I'll probably just do it on my
reunification of
own.
man.
And then when we
It would
actually
also
go
be
to start
one of the
painting
few
them,
worlds to reach
then
out
I'll bring
and
them on in.
recolonize planets.
We'll do
in
that
this
here
time.
on
Using
camera.
their knowledge of the warp, they chose
do you
moments
guys
of
like
calm
this live,
amid
or
the
should I
storms of
like
the time in the warp
record
to
it,
travel
speed
through
it up a little
and
bit, so
establish
you're not,
new
you know,
forge worlds.
I can
These were
I can make
replicas
this
of the
3-hour
tech
long
home on
stream
Mars
into like
and enable
probably
them
a
to
20-minute
continue
video.
support and recovery of the technology
I'm just
of man, as well
you
as
know,
production of
curious what
munitions
you guys
and
want.
simpler
Save
war
some
machines.
time and just
But
see
for
the finished
humanity,
product,
its
or you
golden
guys
age
down
was
to
over.
just chill and
This
kick
dark
it
age
and
of
hang out
technology
and
had fallen apart
BS until I get these guys done.
Many of the weapons that once served mankind brought us to near destruction.
number 5,
and
we're starting
turned
with
lush garden
14
worlds
and
into
15.
irradiated deserts.
14 and 15.
Mechanical factory worlds into
There we
dystopian
go, there's
nightmares.
15 right here.
Beautifully
Wait,
advanced
15.
and artistic colonies turned into barbaric, nightmarish hells devoid of all morality. The age of strife was upon mankind, and only the further darkness of the future lay ahead.
Live clips then make clips. Oh, live stream then make clips.
Roughly
all right,
5,000 years later, around the period of millennium 30 to
Definitely,
31,
so
human
that's
society had reached a state of
talking. No
pitiful
worries, bro.
decay after
Not only do you
cannibalizing
play
itself
Apex,
for
but you're
millennia.
learning
The
Warhammer.
Eldar had also reached the peak of their social
Yeah, maybe
decay,
this will excite
and
you
so
one
heralded
day
the
soon
agonizing birth
here,
of
and
the
you'll
chaos
jump
god
on it like the
Slanesh
rest of us.
that would consume the majority of
This
their
is wild.
population
I'm telling
in
you.
one
I would have known about
cataclysmic
this a long
event
time
that
ago.
brought Eldar society
we
to the
would
brink of
already
extinction.
have armies.
This horrific event, though, would have a positive
But
outcome for
I
mankind.
barely
It
jumped on the
consumed
bandwagon
all of that
right now.
stored, turbulent warp energy. So after thousands of years of instability,
So it
the warp returned to
says
relative calm.
that in
Interstellar
14
communication and
and
travel would once again be
15,
possible for the
But
civilization
it looks
of
like
mankind.
15 is the... Oh, I see. Yeah. We're doing it, guys.
So the age of strife was coming to an end.
Isn't it
But
funny
before we
how
move forward, we
you're
need to move
always
back some
quick
2,000
to
years to
put the
M28
blame on
and 30.
somebody else? Oh, look, I'm
Humanity
missing that
had
piece.
now
Oh,
come
wait, no,
close
I'm
to the
not.
brink
Oh, they
of
must have...
destruction
The
itself.
company must have ripped
So many
me
worlds
off.
had fallen
Oh, wait, no,
into
there it is.
disarray,
User error,
starvation,
every
chaos,
time.
Anarchy.
Every
Now is the time.
I mean,
This would be
sometimes
the
you'll
time
have, you
when the
know, company
mysterious and
mess ups,
powerful
but for
psycho
the most part,
who
it's user
wandered
error.
amongst humanity for thousands of years would come to the fore to
At least
lead
for me.
humanity from an edge of unsalvageable darkness back into the light and resume their place as a meaningful
Everybody
power
in chat,
the
now
galaxy.
speak for yourself.
Earth had by
And
now been reduced to a chemically irradiated
I hit a lot of
barren
user
wasteland.
error
Its
pretty
population
often.
slaughtered, and all that remained were degenerate feral nomads fighting for irrelevant territories.
Heard me like
insane wandering
15 years
prophets
ago.
and cyber-augmented techno-barbarians who lived for nothing other than to fight,
growing up,
created in the cradle of world-ending war. Frail empires would rise and disintegrate as quickly and forgettably as they had risen. No tribe or faction had enough power or resources to make any meaningful stand, and so it went on, pathetic fighting over the remnants of a ravaged world.
You look like you could use a drink.
One sip and you're
Hold on
right
a
back to
mo.
being a kid.
Did they give me an extra head? I'm on my last guy, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know who else can use a drink?
Yeah, I think I got an extra head.
Apple and Eve, let's kid
1,
ourselves.
2. Bro.
It's a good day to start
Hell
something new.
yeah.
To brush away
That's
gray
cool,
in
dude.
5 easy minutes.
Just in
To put
case.
yourself out there and always
Just in
put your
case I
best
lose a
face
piece.
forward. Just for men, mustache and beard.
Bro just said back. Back in the day. Back in the day when I was a little younger. A little more naive. Let's see. Alright. We got legs and a head. I should clean those off before I start doing any other pieces. Am I really on commercials again? There we go.
Out of this seemingly endless horror came a single
Yeah,
man,
dude.
a
40K,
warlord
bro.
like no other. His title in these
Pretty
early days is unknown,
badass.
but we would know who he
Ain't
would
good
rise to
enough.
become.
I'm telling you, I
The
went
Emperor
to
of
bed
Man.
last night and
He would first
couldn't
conquer
sleep
and then
because I
rebuild
had
humanity, leading
Space
it into
Marines on the
light,
mind.
saving it from itself to form his autocracy, known as the Imperium of Mankind. Unlike so many before him though, he had power not only as an unstoppable warrior, but in many other traits such as rational thinking, tactics, philosophy, economics, compassion, foresight, and perhaps most importantly,
Put this
a
on
genius
the
of
table,
science, everything and
and
more
I
that
just
would be
rub it
required
this way. Is
for a
that easier?
supreme leader. The Emperor, though, fought not for selfish personal gain or bloodlust of war like all the other scattered remnants of humanity left on Earth. He had selfless, higher goals to restore humanity spiritually, intellectually, and physically to revert us to a time of strength and prosperity. These were the years of the Unification Wars.
I can't tell
The
if that's a
Emperor had
mold
long held a
line.
facility deep in a range of
Or- oh, wait,
mountains
no, it's not,
previously
it's not,
known
it's not.
as the Himalayas. This was
Looks
his
like a
most
ribbon.
significant stronghold and would
The
later
other guy had a
become the
ribbon, but it
Imperial
was on
Palace.
his waist. This
Here
guy's got
he
a ribbon on his
experimented with
boot.
genetics as well
What
as
do the
developing
ribbons
and
mean, you guys?
constructing weapons and armor for
You know, like
his
a ribbon,
warriors.
like when you get first place
In the
somewhere
earliest
and they
days,
give you the
would
little
physically
ribbon.
and
It's like the
genetically
little
augment some of the most powerful
gold something, and
barbarians.
it's got the
These
little
humanoids would become known
wavy
as
fabric
the
on
Thunder
the bottom.
Warriors.
They
The
got
very
like these
first
things
of
on
their
their
kind
legs.
and the most
Looks like-
basic
looks like a
template
ribbon.
for what would eventually become the Imperial Space Marines, the Astartes, the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Under
Astartes?
unsurmountable pressure from
Astartes
the
are the
Emperor's
greatest
army of
warriors
Thunder
in the
Warriors, the barbaric factions
planet?
fell quickly, and humanity was united on old Earth for the first time in centuries. This, however, would come at a terrible cost for the Thunder Warriors themselves, and is one of the least known, yet darkest events for mankind. In order to unify Earth and bring humanity back on the path of advancement and strength, the Emperor had found it necessary to in part cleanse the savagery that had grown on the war-torn planet. This sadly meant the death of many arguable innocents during the Unification Wars, as well as the eradication of the last remaining religious church on Earth, known as the Church of the Lightning Stone.
Whoa,
The Emperor is known to have
Got the
personally
head.
spoken to the last remaining
head on
priest
the
before
legs.
bringing in his new age of enforced secular rationalism
without breaking
and the
the
ideology
pieces?
known as the Imperial Truth.
As long as my
This essentially tells that humanity
grip
are
is
now
under
those
control,
destined to
it
be the
should be
rulers
good.
of the galaxy. The Eldar had their chance and failed, and now humanity
fit.
are the best set to take their place as the dominant force. This ideology would soon be brought to all the scattered worlds of humanity.
Hey, I wonder why
in the
his head
long
won't
crusade
fit.
that was yet to come.
Can you tell? Can you tell why? Yeah, that shit's backwards.
Now, the
Whoops.
official version of things tells how the last battle of the Unification Wars takes place on Mount Ararat. This
Alright, let's
siege
look at
to
the directions.
cleanse the last of the techno-barbarians from the ruined wastes on Earth and finally bring it back to a time of peace and
Grab
growth.
the right
was
head,
said to be
right?
so brutal that waves of thunder warriors fell against the
Yo,
rocks of
I grabbed the
resistance,
wrong head,
were
no
slain to
wonder.
a single man.
So,
the legendary
that's
warrior,
so I clipped off the wrong head.
Taranis, the lightning bearer.
And I was all stoked that I had an extra head
He
to leave on
raised
the
the
spool,
banner
and I
of
clipped
lightning
the wrong
to mark
one.
the end of the Unification Wars, setting in
matter,
place
actually.
the rule of the Emperor of Man,
I hold
before
the
he
peg
too
the same
would
way the
fall
other
to
peg
fatal
is.
wounds
Yeah, they're
suffered
facing the wrong.
in
He's
this
facing
battle of
down, so-
legend.
Well, at least we
As with
figured it
many
out.
things, the official version
Before I
is
started
not
blaming
the
the
end
company
of the
again.
story. The actuality of the event was darker and far more sinister. The Emperor knew that in order to restore peace, growth, and a sense of civilization to his new and expanding empire, he would require a more stable and balanced force
The zombie
than
goes
the
trick or
Thunder
treat.
Warriors, who
What
were essentially
would he
just
ask
adept
for?
brutes recruited from the wasteland, albeit clad
candy
in the
eyeballs?
earliest Imperial armor. In a necessary betrayal, the Emperor realized that in order to safeguard what he had achieved, his army of barbaric fighters could not exist past this time.
The eyeballs.
It is believed that he actually ordered the many Thunder Warriors who had survived the final battle to be slaughtered by his elite guard, and possibly
Is there a
even
recommendation
some of the early
on,
proto-Astartes, who were at this time far advanced beyond
Filing
most
stuff
of his
down.
standard
Should I go in a
force.
circular
This terrible
motion?
secret has been
Or should I
concealed
just
from
go
the
back
people of the
and forth?
Imperium for more than
I think
10,000
circular
years.
motion, right? That's like
And
how
wherever
to
to
get
be
the
revealed, the
smoothest.
consequences could be
over.
unimaginably disastrous.
I don't know why I asked. I just
The Emperor, though,
I should have
saw
thought
this
about it a little
necessary
harder.
evil had to come to pass for the greater good, a sacrifice of the few to save the many who would come. The Thunder Warriors were built for war, and war alone,
Oh,
and
yeah,
would not
it's
be able
looking
to
good.
adapt to a time of peace, and could even have turned a vital tool into a dangerous,
It's not
unstable
backwards this time.
threat that could unbalance all that he
yeah,
had achieved.
that's the way it should
In order
be
for the
there.
next stage of his plans, he also required that humanity rally behind him
Alright,
as the sole
we got
and
legs.
most powerful force.
and we got a head.
The slaughter of the Thunder Warriors was not the last act of betrayal, though, by the Emperor. He would then take the necessary glory that he had near single-handedly.
Now the next piece,
unified
16, you
terror.
guys.
This distortion of the truth, while hugely distasteful,
16.
does appear largely necessary to reunite the whole of humanity and create the most powerful civilization in the galaxy.
Here we
Nonetheless,
are.
should the truth ever arise, it would at best split apart the Imperium and at worst destroy it. These choices by the Emperor are important to remember in the context of his character, as it can lead to certain logical
What I gotta remember too
speculations
is like where I
regarding
clip them,
future
because sometimes I
events.
clip them, and when I
Some
go to pick it
Thunder
up,
Warriors,
'cause
though,
I
would
clip
find
out a couple,
fate on
the
their
ones that I
side
need,
and
and when I go to
escape
pick it
this mass
up,
killing and live on
forgot where I
as
clipped
homeless
it.
unknowns,
It's like,
seeking
wait,
out
where's
a
that rough
miserable
spot that I got
existence
sand
at the
down?
bottom of society.
Takes me a
Honours
minute to find
forgotten,
that guy.
their deeds meaningless, all the while fearing constant discovery from the Imperium and certain death. This heartless betrayal was surely one of the darkest periods in Imperial history.
I need
They were
another
never
one of these
hunted,
nail
though,
files,
in any
but like a
significant way.
thin,
The Emperor
thin
believed
one,
them all
dude.
dead, and besides, they were far more important tasks
Guys,
at
it works
hand.
really
As the
good. I
Emperor
think
now
it works because
gathered
this one's
a team of
super thin, the metal
gym
one,
roids,
compared to this
salvaged
one.
from
You
the few
see what I
remaining
mean?
humans on Earth. These were men with practical knowledge
that's super
of
thin.
genetics to aid in his
But-
development of the new Astartes project. Those Thunder Warriors who did escape were not like the Astartes of the
But
41st millennium.
I think the
They were
metal one's
genetically
just
unstable, and most
it leaves,
significantly, they only had a minimally extended
it leaves it a
mortality
little more
beyond that
rough
of a regular
than I like.
human, unlike the Space Marines who can live on for thousands of years. The Emperor had been working for decades on his Astartes project, deep within his mountain facility. Here he would create the vital foundations that would springboard humanity into a new age. His experiments would create the 20 Space Marine legions known as the Legiones Astartes, as well as 20 Primarchs to lead each legion. These 20 supreme leaders of the soon-to-come Space Marine legions were crafted by the Emperor using samples
Gummy brain
of his
candy.
own arcane genetic code as the base. It is obviously unknown the depth of which the Emperor used his own DNA to create the Primarchs, but later
Actually, the
findings
middle one might
through
do good
ancient
on here.
Imperial records do hint
Just
that he
the right
spliced
size for
multiple DNA types together, even going so far as to introduce some animal DNA into the Primarchs. And this would explain why some, such as Lehman Russ, would display the wolf-like qualities, and why these would then become present throughout the Space Wolves Legion and chapter. It's difficult to speculate on the Emperor's true goals here, and even if he was successful in the mixing of DNA in this way, it seems highly experimental, and perhaps he himself was not sure of the final result. This period of intelligent design was hasty and somewhat improvised given the dire situation facing mankind. It needed to repopulate its military power in order to springboard and take stage fights forward to reconquer the colonies. Another point of speculation is how closely the Primarchs were imbued with spiritual elements and others such as unnaturally skillful charisma and so on.
So Primarchs are those big giant guys? What are those big giant guys called again?
Small elements of the Emperor's DNA. It imbued them with these
They're just like Space Marines, but like more decorated, more gold on their
the barely known forces of
armors
chaos
and
would
suits.
seek out and scatter the developing Primarchs before the Emperor's plans could grow into fruition. Little is known of this Primarch scattering event, but it has been suggested that the dawning forces of chaos felt this expanding power from humanity to threaten them, and in an effort to slow or negate it, they reached out.
Just like the guy on screen right now, a big guy with a bunch of gold on him, a red cape. It looks like the sword.
Would surely in time come to realize that they were far from normal, often finding themselves as a natural leader in command of a system
are those guys
become
Primarch?
home.
I don't.
Later, the Emperor would one by one
Are they all called Primarchs? The guys are really decorated like that.
Establishing one of the most powerful military forces the galaxy had ever seen. The Thunder Warriors, though, were undoubtedly the early prototypes for the Astartes
Tyler,
project,
you have been doing good. You were here yesterday, and you're here today.
Tragic, as their sacrifice was so great, yet the memory of them was totally obliterated.
Let's see.
The Astartes project would continue in a pragmatic
14,
manner.
15,
Each of the
16,
early legions at this
17,
time
and
contained barely a
18.
few hundred marines. Their
20?
equipment
Oh,
was
they're
lightweight
sons of
and
the
somewhat
Emperor?
improvised
That's what
by
they are?
comparison to
Bro.
later standards. They trained their minds and bodies to
I mean,
be the will,
wait,
might, and
are they
rule
actually his
of the
children,
Emperor.
kind of thing? Like,
Time
does
would
their
pass,
blood,
and their
his
numbers
blood
grew.
flow through them?
Each legion was divided
Or did he
not only
create
for
them, like,
organizational
psychically or
reasons,
something?
but also for practical reasons. Because of their adapted genetics that were drawn
And feel
from
free
the
to tell me,
Primarchs,
I'll just
some
keep
carried
watching little
traits and
videos and
psychological
you'll find
behaviors
out.
which would not have been found comfortable comparison
I know
with their
it's
sibling legions.
sometimes
This
annoying having to
segregation also allowed them
type
to
out
focus
everything
their
I
bonds to
ask
their
and-
brothers in their own legion, creating a near unbreakable kinship between Astartes. If the newly created Astartes would be the Emperor's scalpel, his gleaming pinnacle of human achievement, then the Thunder Warriors were certainly a mace used to bludgeon the remnants of humanity back into submission. The Thunder Warriors were genetically stronger though, tougher, and could even be stronger in battle than the newly created Astartes, which is something
just in
people
case
often
one
forget.
day I lose
They
a
were
head.
rough, brutal
I mean,
instrument,
eventually,
but
if they give you
ultimately
extra
a temporary
pieces-
solution to a violent problem. The Space Marines would serve not only as a weapon, but as
Yeah, I know,
beacons
pal. I
to
just
mankind,
wanna-
a glimmer of
wanna
what
make sure
humanity could
you're,
hope to be.
mod
The dark
material
times to
for
come,
me.
however, would show that this was a misplaced
Like,
belief. That while the Space Marines were created
Like,
to
one of the things I
represent
would like
the
you to do as a
pinnacle of
mod
human
is
development, they ultimately proved
greet
as
everybody that
susceptible
comes to the
basic
stream.
flaws of mankind as any other mortal. The Emperor's campaign on
Well,
Earth
you're on Kick, so
would
only
now
the people
come
on
to a
Kick.
close.
You have to.
He began establishing the fundamental elements
Just
of
say
a civilized,
hello,
modernized
welcome, all
society
that stuff.
in government administration,
You don't have to,
economy,
but I'm
and
just saying.
infrastructure.
I'd
An
like that
important
if,
figure in this
you had him-
process
if I had him on.
was a man known as Malkador, the Sigillite. He had a
Let me give you
vast
a link
knowledge
to
of
watch
such
it.
matters
I'm
and
down,
carried
yeah.
himself
Hook me
with
up.
the bearing of a priest. He was
Take
appointed
all
to
the
run the
links.
courts and palaces of the new
You want me to
empire,
toss it on,
the
like,
right-hand man
now,
of the
or
emperor.
it's just
Earth would
something for
turn
me to
from a place of
watch
desolation
on,
and horror
while
to
I'm
one of
chilling
active
sometimes.
production, rebuilding, and planning. Some might call it coincidentally convenient, but at this time a vast shockwave would travel through the galaxy, the birth of Slaanesh. Humanity would have no idea of the significance of this, only
Slaanesh.
that it cleared the
Slaanesh
storms
is a
from the
chick
war
demon,
that had
right?
isolated and ruined humanity's gloriously technologically advanced empire. Again though,
I got
we could
you,
speculate that the
and
Emperor
every
had foreseen these
20,
events
10
and the
minutes.
necessity of preparing Earth for this time.
Oh, you don't have to
On
do that,
Mars,
pal.
The humans of the
Oh, we're not
cult
really too
Mechanicus,
worried
that is,
about
those who
views
worship
and-
machines,
and
will become aware
likes
of this
and-
unification on Earth.
and stuff like
As
that.
information
For
through distant communication and physical
what I want you to
observations,
mostly
they viewed this
like,
new emperor
worry
as a man
about
in
is,
alignment with their own agenda.
greedy
Mars,
people.
during the Dark Age of technology, had been a planet
And
with a single purpose.
I don't know, if somebody
A
gets too
powerhouse of
lippy, give them a
production for this
warning
age,
that, you know,
consolidating ships and
you'll give them a
weapons,
timeout if they
including the
continue.
vast Titans.
But I'll let you know when
hundreds
to
of
time
feet
people
tall,
out, you know?
Gigantic bipedal war
I don't
machines
really-
whose very
I
presence
don't really get
could
bothered
end
too
conflicts
easily.
before they
I mean,
began.
I do, but I don't.
Since the
So
end
I
of
have
this
a-
age, cults had risen across the Mars, and the most prevalent of these
I have
was
an
the
okay,
Mechanicus, whose ideology
limit,
included
but,
the
you know,
veneration
starting
and
to bug me, I'll let
acquisition
you know.
of these ancient but highly advanced technologies from the period known as
Or
the
I'll
Dark
let you
Age of
know to let
technology.
them know. You know what I mean?
During the period of isolation known as the Age of Strife, Mars had undergone a similar societal collapse comparable to that of Earth. With all trade cut off,
He-she,
they
yeah.
had
Oh, it's a he.
insufficient water and
He-she.
food to supply the populace.
Yeah,
a
you
civil
know.
war would follow, as well as the collapse of some planetary infrastructures that shielded their little
When
remaining hydroponics and
the
food
modern era
production
got to
systems.
them, huh?
This would lead to a further collapse of the already fragile supporting systems.
Whatever. It's all
The
good.
techs and established Mechanicum
I mean, if you're gonna
decided
be
the
some
best way
sort
to
of,
survive
like,
this apocalypse
demon
would be to retreat
creature,
into
you can't really
underground
take
bunkers
a-
which had been mined out,
claim,
creating vast cities below the surface.
Dude, you can't
Little
even
is
really
known
claim
at
you're
this
human,
time,
right?
but evidently prior
It's
to
like
their
a god
seclusion,
creature.
the Mechanicum techs were a cult who would bear a respect and drive to recover, protect and utilize the lost technologies of mankind. Upon their rise from the subterranean depths, they had in this time translated this over into a complete faith.
Perfect.
The tech priests of the Mechanicum, along with their
Is there, like,
troops,
a
would
good,
very quickly subdue the insane irradiated
Am I doing
savages who
okay
remained
with
on
these
the
nail
surface,
files,
and begin
or
the
should I
process
get myself
of
some
rebuilding and
actual
redeveloping Mars
sandpaper?
to be completely self-sufficient.
Like some real
This, in
fine
combination with their
sandpaper, because
access
it's
to some of the most
still
powerful war
kind
machines
of
ever forged in the galaxy,
scratchy. It's
would
not like
without
scratchy,
doubt
but it's
leave
like,
the Mechanicus in a position of some power.
I don't know, it just doesn't.
To the cult of Mechanicus,
Doesn't
who were now
seem as it
becoming
could
aware
be
of
as
this
smooth as it
emperor
could be.
figure who had surfaced on Terra,
No
a
big,
man of
but I'm sure
science
it's
and
gonna be smooth when I
technology,
paint it.
this was obviously appealing to
Yeah,
the
I'm
Mechanicus,
sure.
and some tech
All right,
priests
where
on
does this go?
Mars even began to suggest that the emperor was a man of such power as to rival their own
Right
machine
over
god
there.
and fulfill an ancient prophecy in their faith of techno-mysticism. Debates raged on Mars between the priesthood regarding how to treat this new development. All the while, the Emperor, bearing his power of immense foresight, would not be ignorant of the Mechanicum, and he slowly and steadily would begin to craft his new plans accordingly. Plans for a crusade on a galactic scale never before seen. Its purpose? To locate the
Seems
lost
like there's a
Primarchs,
crack in his armor
to
because
reunite
of
the territories of
where these
humanity,
pieces are like.
forge a new imperial
feeding
empire,
together.
and thrust the Imperium of Man into a position of complete
Maybe I should
dominance
shave
and
down
power
a
throughout the
smidge
galaxy.
of it. So it looks like
The Emperor's plan
little
was one
too
of
thick right
absolute submission. Anyone who stood against the Imperial truth would be cleansed and destroyed. The Mechanicum of Mars were one of the few exceptions. The Emperor knew that any battle to try and claim dominance over the cult Mechanicum would be hugely counterproductive. Even if he could claim victory over them, the cost to his new Astartes force would be severe and unjustified.
Alright,
So
see
he
if that
planned
fits
instead
better.
to offer a rare alliance with the Council of Tech Priests. In offering them assistance
And
in their
see
own goals and
if it
acquisitions of
fits
new and lost
better.
tech throughout the galaxy, they would provide support, construction of war gear, and tech to Imperial forces. They also were one of the
We've got a
exceptional
ball
entities
game.
to be allowed to maintain a state of semi-independence
It
within
looks
the
a
Imperium.
little bit
fairly
off,
unique
but
position.
for the most part,
The
it's
Emperor
better
would also
than what
provide
it just
a
looked
new
like.
group of navigators to enable the Mechanicum
cool.
to travel through the warp again
Alright,
in
now what's
search
the
of
next
fabled STC
piece?
units.
18.
All of this suited the Mechanicum and Imperium in a symbiotic relationship. An alliance was created.
Put his arm on.
Mira quién llegó.
Tenía que volver. La próxima vez, invita a usted.
Man, why do we get Spanish
Tu mejor
commercials? What is
jugada
up with
está
that?
aquí. Llévate dos de
Like,
tus
if-
favoritos por solo $3.99.
I don't understand.
Pa, pa, pa.
At least mute it for now. He is the Chaos God. Alright. Hey, did you send me a link? I don't know if the links come through on YouTube actually. Let me check real quick. Hang on. Yeah, it doesn't look like it came through. If if you can, do the link without like any .com or anything like that. Just like, or put spaces between the dots. Don't put dots in. Back to Chapter 7, The Great Crusade and the Fall of the Eldar.
And so we reach the
crack
beginning
my soda
of Millennium
open.
31. With
Like
Mars now
yesterday,
allied
had
to
my
the
soda the whole
Emperor's
time and
Imperium,
only took
the
one
Legiones
sip,
Astartes
like
war
a noob.
machine had significantly expanded. The
Thank you guys for
would
being here.
provide
Thank
the
you for
battle
watching. I
barges
appreciate
needed
you
to
guys. I
transport
appreciate
the
your
Space
time.
Marines throughout
You know,
the
time is
galaxy.
money, and
They also
time
brought
is
to the
valuable,
table
and I
the
appreciate you
Titans, some of the
guys
most
spending
powerful
your
war
valuable
machines
time with
ever
me.
created.
And
Their
some
very
40K.
presence on approaching a humanoid
Cheers, you
system
guys.
would often be enough to prevent a conflict. The shock and awe of facing such incomprehensible opponents would quickly lead a populace to understand they had no hope of preventing the Imperial Expeditionary
And-
Forces from achieving their goals. The crusade would initially be led by the
Goodness.
Emperor himself.
See, so that's what
as
I'm
he
talking about.
commanded a massive
When I need to
fleet
file
of
something
Astartes.
that's like inside of his like arm right here, and it's a little bent. If I gotta get something in here, and the file is just too huge to go through there,
Before we talk about
I
the
need something
crusade
small like
itself,
this
though,
one.
which I have tried to
But
condense as much as possible,
this one
I
leaves
want
it
to
more
first
rough.
talk
We gotta
briefly
figure that out.
on the Astartes or Space Marines. Now, a
ever
regular
heard of the
misconception about
vegan
Space
zombies?
Marines is that
No.
because they wear
I don't
near
think there's such
identical
thing,
armor
pal.
and were originally
Vegan
produced
zombies?
via
No.
a variation of cloning, or at least grown in a lab,
Zombies
they
like
somehow have
cauliflower?
no
No, they
personality
don't,
or little
bro.
differentiation between them. It is also often assumed
Looks
that
like a
Space
brain to
Marines
them.
will
It does look like
blindly
brain.
follow any commands given to the letter, no matter the consequences. After all, they are the superior, unquestioning warriors in the universe, right? Both of these myths is fundamentally wrong. Each Space
I like
Marine is an
broccoli over
individual
cauliflower.
person with their own character, traits,
I've always
to an
liked
extent
broccoli.
personal principles.
Even when I was
There
like
are many documented
little
events
kid,
in which these
loved
human
broccoli.
elements would have a role to play.
never
in
had a
subsequent
problem eating my
events.
broccoli as a kid.
Space Marines, although superhuman, are still human, and as such the Emperor deemed it necessary to have a senior position with whom Astartes could use as a point of reference to discuss matters of morality, to understand their purpose, their mission, and sometimes to give guidance beyond purely military matters during the Crusade and the expeditionary forces.
Yeah,
Enter
buddy, let me
the
check.
Iterators. Imperial Iterators were the most persuasive of public speakers. They are masters of manipulating a crowd's opinion, and Iterators would counsel also Marines as they voyaged through the galaxy. But their role went beyond this and was critical
Hell
at the
yeah,
inception of the
there
Great
he is.
Crusade. They were placed among the
Give 'em a
expeditionary forces to
wave.
aid in reuniting humanity and turning
Send
lost
them
human
on
civilizations
over
to
and
the
let me
Imperial
know
cause.
in chat
The
right
Emperor
here
appointed them
when you
to
sent them
spread the
because
imperial truth.
I don't have
Truths such as the
notifications,
rejection
push
of religious
notifications
faith
on
to enforce
Discord
secular rule,
because, like I said, I
and
don't really
unnecessary wasteful
know how to use
squabbling
it, and
over
people hit me
power
up
and
for
resources. These were all seen
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah.
significantly counterproductive and opposite to the objectives of the Imperium. The
Oh, I
first
got
Primarch to be
some
reunited
graphics
with the
if you want to
Imperial
check out.
fleet
Yeah,
was
go ahead and
Horus
send
of
them
the
to me. I'm
Lunar
down to
Walls.
check them out.
He greatly admired
I'm always
the
down to check
Iterators'
out some
work, so
graphics,
much
see how
so
they cool.
that
I
he
can't-
asked them to
I can't
also
purchase any
tutor
from
his
you,
captains
but I'm down to
and
check 'em
legionaries.
out.
Horus believed that once the crusade was completed,
I don't
there would
really
be
think
an
you
end
want
to the war,
to,
and the
you know,
Astartes would first need
waste
to
your
find
time
a
sending
peacetime
me
vocation.
your
The most
graphics if
famous
I'm not going to
iterator
buy
during
them.
the Great
This is for the
Crusade
people that,
was
you know, graphic
primary
the designers
iterator
that.
Kyril
Oh,
Sindarin,
let's
who
level
served
level
aboard
up your
Horus's
channel.
flagship. Iterators
hey,
are
buddy,
seen as
you
the
know,
precursors
you're doing a
to
good job
Imperial
over
Guard
there. Let's
commissars
level up your
and
channel.
Astartes chaplains.
Yeah, dude. Let's level
The
up.
iterators and then later the
hook it up
chaplains
for
are an
free.
example of the more human services required
People
by
deserve
Space
to be
Marines.
paid for their
Documented
work.
records
I
have shown that they
unfortunately
have been regularly known to question
can't pay
ethics,
people right now,
purpose, and even their own
so we're
morality,
gonna be
despite
doing
an
it
Astartes
free
essentially being immortal.
and
They are destined to
chilling
die
for
in
now.
battle, as that
Yeah.
is their true purpose. And despite this predefined fate, they are far from the emotionless drones that some would assume. They are a living embodiment of humanity, a distillation of spirit and mind. The Emperor's Great Crusade to reunify humanity had begun in earnest. This was an operation on a truly epic scale. Millions of troops, tens of thousands of ships forged by the Mars Mechanicum. This would be humanity's defining
get there
moment.
right
To
now.
reach out
Just gotta
and forge the greatest empire in the galaxy.
visit
The Imperial forces
site.
comprise soldiers, naval officers, and most importantly, the Astartes legions. They were configured and divided into expeditionary fleets supported by all manner of cruisers,
Now that I've got it
scout
on my
teams, dropships,
account,
and
I
so on.
can shoot it up on the
Commanded by the
TV.
Emperor and his war council, but also by individuals placed in charge of these expeditionary forces. It's important to remember that
Much
these
is left in this
forces
video.
were as much exploratory as they were tasked with an important mission.
Let me kill this video real quick, and I'll throw it on. I'll speed this one up. That way,
quantities of data have been lost
over
in the
faster.
process. The Imperial forces simply didn't know exactly where all
There it
colonies
is.
were, nor their status. Had they been destroyed in civil war, alien genocide, or perhaps the opposite, and expanded to a degree where they would not need aid, but instead submission? All of these
there's
unknowns,
only
many
like 10
locations
minutes
could be
left in this
estimated
guy.
as to whether or not they've been colonized in the past. Mechanically could provide some
15.
information from past scripture as to where human colonies had been.
But we'll
located,
kill it
but more
in, like,
importantly, they wanted to know where we could find ancient
7.5 or 8. Whoops, I backed out. Oh well, never mind. Let's go to your video. Oh, there it is.
And sold them out.
And of course, we got to deal with commercials again. Of course, we got commercials again. That's right. YouTube's got to make their money too. It's all good. Even though they're making money just by sitting there. Turn down speed. All right. Sure will. Damn, I didn't catch it fast enough.
Advantage checking out to Nurgle, god of
Let's see. Like I already had started this one before. Blood Angels, Night Lords. Oh, okay, nice. Hell yeah. And give me
Hey, what are those?
give me all the
Little
guys.
Caesar's Crazy Puffs. Everyone's getting them. Yeah, kiddo.
To the people on the internet, the time has come. The reckoning begins. Your boy got himself a shaker cup. After many months of to the people on the internet, the time has come. The reckoning begins. Your boy got himself
We're back,
a
son. What's up,
shaker
buddy?
cup.
Here we are. We're going, bro. We're doing it. It's doing well. So last night I couldn't sleep,
After
and I got up and
many
made
months
2 more
of
Space
chilling
Marines.
Gamer subs
So we
like
got
mad. My
4
favorite
on.
thing to do, we
Hang on, I'm
have
just gonna zoom up
ourselves
here.
a goddamn shaker cup. It's
We got
here,
4 Space
the
Marines
official
done.
Bricky
I'm working on the
waifu
5th one.
Shaker cup. Do you
I've
see
only
the
been
gal
working on this one this
here?
stream.
If it's not great at focusing,
And
I'm
we
sure there'll be a
did
thing in the
one of
background.
the-
Skater, put a thing in the
one of the little
background.
monster
Long
guys.
white hair, absolutely. A bit more toned, abs.
keep forgetting what they're
Obviously,
called.
bikini, hit it, legally distinct mark on the
termagants.
face. Of course, she wants you
Just to get an
do
idea
the
of
diddle thing,
what I'm in store.
maybe, but most likely to serve in a glorious army. Legally distinct?
Do that right
I
here,
think
kind of.
so. The Bricky Shaker Cup is available now, and you should get it while it is hot. But if you're thinking, Bricky, what should I put in this? Well, how about my top 10 favorite Gamer Subs flavors? From number 1 to number 10, all of them incredible, but
Thanks,
listed
buddy.
regardless, and an addendum for
We're almost
those that
done
are
with the 5th
caffeine
one.
free. This shaker cup is available now in the description of this
Area
video.
51,
You
what's
may
up, buddy?
use code
Yeah,
Bricky
dude, here
as
we are,
well
we're doing
at
it.
checkout to get a discount
It's coming along.
on your order. A massive amount
having
of
fun.
profits goes to yours truly, and a huge thank you to Gamer Subs
And
for
we're
sponsoring
watching,
and for getting me this beautiful,
we're
beautiful
watching
cup.
Bricky.
Go out there and get it. I'm gonna
Warhammer
take one more
Space Marine
sip for the
Legion in
camera,
a nutshell.
slow it down, throw some sexy music in there, and I'll
Recommended
see you guys
by
soon.
Germ Graves. Dude, I'm down. It's so cool, dude. Telling you, why did nobody tell me about Warhammer years ago?
Hello everybody, my name is Berkey, currently stuck in the walls of the most prodigious school in the Imperium by punishment for falling asleep during class. God bless the Schola Progenium. Many of you have come across my Every Faction Explained video. Firstly, thank you. Secondly, we are here to dig a little deeper. Space Marines are the quintessential poster boys of Warhammer 40,000. When people think 40k, they think Space Marines. But there are many types of
Is the
Space
audio
Marines,
still cracking, you
formed from
guys?
20
Area 51,
separate
you hear the audio
legions.
cracking?
We are going to rattle them off in order and give you a quick rundown of each one. A
figure
disclaimer,
out what
like
that
in
is,
my
'cause it does
every
it on,
faction explained video,
my
this is a
Nintendo
mix
Switch,
of
too, and we're on the
accuracy and
PlayStation right now.
memes. If I say the Salamander's Legion
Hell yeah,
specializes in
dude.
hugging children and petting puppies, they aren't exactly doing that.
But I'm afraid, you
Mostly.
guys. I'm afraid now that it's mainstream, more mainstream, that
But
the
you can
woke community is
infer
going to get
that they
to
care
it,
about
and they're going to be
civilians
like,
and are a
okay,
bit
let's
kinder than the average
let's
Space
make them
Marine.
all
A
this
Space
way
Marine
now,
being
and
a genetically
let's
modified
make sure
super
that they
soldier that's
don't,
had a
you know,
million new and terrifying
Yeah, no.
organs shoved into them,
That's what I'm not down
refrigerators
for.
strapped
As
to their
far as I'm
bodies, and are
concerned, they're
so
supposed to be
far above the
badasses.
average human that they are referred to as
And
demigods
somehow
instead.
woke
Each
isn't
Space
too
Marine has a
badass
father,
at
unlike
all.
you, a Primarch, which is basically an even bigger Space Marine that was forged in a lab
Sorry
by the
for whatever
God
audience I'm
Emperor of
cutting in half here by saying
mankind,
I'm not
that
down for the
gigantic
woke,
golden
but
dude you
I'm not
see
down for
everywhere,
the
who is
woke.
both the leader and now the martyr of humanity. The Primarchs are his 20 sons, built in a lab, who lead 20
it's
legions
looking
of
good,
Space
but I
Marines,
got
who
a
are their
real
sons,
tiny
not from a lab,
clip
but
right
rather a
there.
dissection table, giving them the powers and skills of their associated Primarch via a gene seed, a special organ carrying the
dude.
genetic makeup
That's a real
of their
thing.
Primarch.
Anything that they can get their
And, you
hands
know,
on. Oh, they like this.
So
Oh, let's
Jagatai
make them
Khan of
all
the White Scars has the
its
genetic
and-
makeup that
and
wants him to go
thems and
really, really
me
fast.
toos,
Then
you
his
know?
sons, the Space Marines, also want to go really, really fast. I should note that I am only referring to the legions this time around. If you're interested in sub-factions like, let's say, the Black Templars, then
Oh,
this is
shit,
not going
there
to
they
be here. However, I do have a excellent Black Templar video. I'd argue it's probably the most accurate one I can think of. It goes through the whole lore, everything about them. It's a very long video, and I'll
Damn.
put it in the description. Just look up Black Templar video in the description. You'll get what you need. And now, with the easy explanation out of
Thanks,
the way,
Breaky.
let us begin with our first legion. Dark Angels.
Sounds good.
Legions,
Cool, thanks, dude.
loyal.
So, So if the sound is good,
Primarch
What
Lion
does
L.
that
Johnston,
mean?
a duelist.
I'm doing
a
exactly
knight,
the same
a real
thing I
asshole,
did
I'm not
yesterday.
gonna lie.
So if
The
it sounds
single
good,
word
it's-
descriptor, paranoid. The Dark Angels are
There's
first
gotta be a
legion,
connection
hailing
issue
from the
somewhere.
death world known as Caliban. Their Primarch, Lion L. Johnson, is
figure
what
it.
happens when you try to
Whoops.
make the side
We're
profile
dropping him.
Chad meme into a genuine character. He is a master tier duelist, a brilliant strategist, and an overall dick. There are few situations he isn't prepared for, and few fights he isn't ready to lead head on. This makes the Dark Angels have a very Knights of the Round Table vibe. They look like the knights of old with these large suits of power armor, often donning robes and hoods. Their names also follow this. They have like Ezekiel,
Damn, those
Azrael,
look badass, dude.
Belial, Samuel, and so on. However, the
Nice.
common thing associated with Dark Angels are the Fallen, a part of their faction that turned traitor against the Imperium, and they are very heavily trying to expunge all knowledge of them from existence. Fallen? What Fallen? Never heard of any Fallen. Do you know about the Fallen? We're gonna take you away and mind probe you to make sure you have never heard of the Fallen. They definitely don't exist, and if they do exist, which they don't, we will find them
okay.
even though they don't exist. They love their interrogations. They thrive in it. Lionel Johnson is a scorched earth policy sometimes, and it's given to his sons in force, which makes sense considering that when the Lion heard of a Chaos Primarch on the homeworld different
Dude,
Primarch,
he looks badass.
his
That's what
mom
I'm
was
talking
there,
about,
he was
dude.
like,
Look at that. Look at his
"Let's nuke it."
armor.
The Dark Angels
All
are a special
decorated.
group where they formulate themselves into 3 different factions. The Deathwing Terminators, slow-moving,
shit.
tough phalanx.
Deathwing
The Raven
Terminators,
Wing,
dude.
fast jet bikes and flyers. And the Green Wing, which is your standard Marines. They are a jack of all trades.
Dude,
but
I'm
not
getting
in the sense where
goosebumps,
they're
bro.
good
This
at
is so
everything, but
cool,
rather
dog.
They have a
Like,
lot of
where have I
things
been?
that are
I'm telling
good
you.
at specific things. Like instead of 20 people that have a multi-tool, they instead have 20 people with gigantic power tools for every job imaginable. If you like being suspicious about everyone and everything in your surroundings, but you also like to have a whole lot of deep knight type lore, run the Dark Angels.
The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
Our second legion is a special one.
Wait, hold on. What did he say?
The One Piece is
Hold
real!
on, after this.
Our second legion is a special one.
Our second legion is a special one. And then when he did that, I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, wait. Isn't like the second legion like a mystery?
The numbers all go to 11.
The Emperor's Children.
Or something?
Allegiance, traitor. Primarch, Fulgrim, a perfectionist, an artist, a sneaky snakey snake. And the single word descriptor, perfection. The Emperor's children are all about the pursuit of perfection. Perfection in all they do. Perfection in war, in artistry, and perfection in every other aspect of life. Their armor is a gleaming pink, purple, and gold. Their ships have spires of gorgeous marble and gold statues in their honor. Fulgrim is a man who believes the pursuit of perfection is the goal of all things, and I mean, look at him! Can you truly tell me that he is not perfect? The hair, the features. As Primarchs go, he is the one you look at, and if 40k had a guy that would give you the best sex you've ever had and never call you back, this is the fucking guy. Which is why this pursuit of decadence led them to the evils of chaos.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, Emperor's children are our first Chaos Legion, and not just a normal one. One devoted to, you guessed it, Slaanesh, the Prince of Pleasure, God of unspeakable excess.
Oh,
The
wow.
Emperor's children in their pursuit are now horrifyingly
Man, I
mutated
just saw that
beings
rocking
with
bod and I was
Slaanesh's
all the
great
chick.
will. They
Didn't even
torture
hear it
and
the
maim
first time
to
around.
feel perfection through pain. They screech and attack with sonic weaponry for perfection through sound, and they slaughter
through
aiming
sound,
for perfection in war.
So
Fulgrim
no
himself
perfection?
lost the battle against Slaanesh as a demon sword corrupted his mind and transformed him into the sexy man he was, into the sexy snake he is now. A demon Primarch, corrupted and bringing his legion's will by himself. As far as Emperor's children go, they are some
Primarch.
bad people. They do horrible things to anyone and everything. In fact, they're such trolls that their battle cry is for the Emperor, despite being horribly mutated and corrupted. If you've ever taken a little too much of a drug, or maybe the music at a concert was too loud and
This
you
guy.
didn't bring any earplugs, or whatever the reason, you just take all those things and you dial it and you dial it and you twist it and the knob breaks. And that
Hell yeah.
is the Emperor's children.
God
Damn.
is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him.
The Iron Warriors. Allegiance, traitor. Primarch, Perturabo,
Yo.
a warlord, a siege
He
smith,
looks crazy
an
too.
incel. Single word descriptor, siege. Continuing the trend of our Chaos Legions, we have the Iron Warriors led by Primarch Perturabo of Olympia. To understand the Iron Warriors, though, one must first understand Perturabo. A man so bitter coffee beans run for light. A man who hates the world and everyone in it, who never got recognition for his deeds, who hates his brothers and hates their accomplishments even more. Someone so laughably petty, so incredibly bitter that he goes full circle to becoming likable. Why? Because he's competent. The Horus Heresy. We didn't talk about the
What's
Horus
likable?
Heresy. Intermission.
Oh, come on
So
now.
Horus was the Emperor's favorite son, right? You know, so the Emperor walked into his room. Horus said, Dad, I just gifted 150 subs to Amaranth, and she said my name a ton, and she loved me for it. I really think that I might get to meet her one day. And it kind of played out something like this.
Your feelings for her are not real. They are real to me!
And then it started playing out a little bit more like this.
Let the seas
Iron
boil.
within, iron
Let
with.
the stars fall.
Hell yeah.
So it takes the last drop of my blood.
Yeah. So Iron Warriors, the Horus Heresy wouldn't have gotten shit done without Peter Turbo. Imagine an entire faction that is the personification of brutal industrialism, where you serve the Legion until your dying breath. You build and you kill and you siege and you kill and you literally summon demons just to take them and trap them in machines and use them as cannon fodder. This is a thing they do. They summon demons to trap and use as shock troops. The Iron
Holy
Warriors
shit.
are siege warfare
What?
incarnate. They are heavy weapons, they are tanks, they are turrets, and they
Nice.
don't die.
They don't
hate
die, huh?
Imperials, they hate Imperial fists.
Do you need a pacifier, Iron Baby? No! No, I don't!
They are bitter incarnate. Perturabo and the Iron Warriors don't serve the Chaos Gods because they like them. They serve them because fuck you.
Come on, guys, let's go.
Not another speeding ticket. I'll fight it in court, but I don't think they're gonna accept gotta go fast as a medical condition.
The White Scars. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Jagatai Khan, a speed demon, a plain strider, a roast god. Single word descriptor, speed. Hailing from Chagoris, the White Scars are all about speed. They love melee, but they love it even more when they are doing it from a motorcycle or land speeder, or honestly, just running really damn fast. The White Scars are honestly forgotten about a lot, and that's lore accurate. They are a legion that doesn't seek the recognition or glory from the combat they engage in. They engage in it because it's their duty,
last
because
Marine,
they love it.
you
Not in
guys.
the insane slaughter enjoyment.
We have finished the Marines.
The thrill of the fight. They are
Now we're
known
gonna
as the
start
laughing
on
killers because they ride into battle with a
Tyranids.
smile on their face and
We
a
have one
chuckle
Tyranid
in
done.
their throat. And as you can tell by
Termagant.
their Primarch's name, they are Mongolian based. Remove horses and replace them with motorcycles and land speeders.
Damn,
and
okay, so I
that's
had
the
an
style.
extra
They're heavily based on the
arm,
old
2 extra
times of
arms,
Genghis Khan, and
and an
consensus 40K,
extra
and
head.
everybody's evil.
We're gonna
You know, that
save
fits. The White Scars are actually
sprues.
physical scars on their body, going back to their heritage.
What did I do
on
with that head?
Chagoris.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Khan himself is kind of a dickhead, but a reasonable one. He thinks ahead, he's intelligent, he's patient. He is often underestimated because he doesn't scream his accomplishments from the rooftops, which is what makes him and the White Scars dangerous. His skills are kept at bay, only to be truly shown when the time is needed. The White Scars are a forgotten legion often, but that doesn't diminish their accomplishments. All it does is surprise those who underestimate them. Speed, awesome Mongolian vibe they got going on, and if you really like to stab people, that's the White Scars for you. Shameless
5 and
thirst
6.
break.
This is dog. Woof, 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 woof. Woof, bitch.
The
Space Wolves.
Allegiance.
Oh,
Loyalist.
okay. I do
Primarch,
remember a
Lehman
little bit of
Russ,
this one.
A Viking, a Savage, the Undertaker.
Undertaker,
Single
nice.
word descriptor. Wolf, 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 wolf. There's so many goddamn wolf units. Skater, how many units in the Space Wolves Codex have the word wolf in their name?
2? Something like that?
The Space Wolves are the 6th Legion and hail from Fenris, a frozen wasteland of a world with their Primarch, Lehman Russ. I don't really need to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Space Wolves because it's very obvious who they are. They are the 2nd most obvious what their shtick is legion in the 20 legions besides the world eaters. When you look at the Space Wolves behind, what do you see? Do you see Vikings in space? You've done it.
Yeah,
Congratulations, you have found Vikings in space.
That's
but
cool.
they have as much in common with a regular Marine as an all-day Viking with like a Roman soldier. You see, as a Space Marine, your body is so enhanced that you filter out poison, and so you can't get drunk. The Space Wolves distill a special mead out of a horrible poisonous plant that would kill a normal human so they could get drunk. They have fangs in their mouths. They sometimes cannibalize their enemies. Sometimes they eat people because they gain knowledge about them from there and about battle plans. The Space Wolves are savages. They're raiders. They're Vikings. But despite all of this, they are loyal to their core. Lehman Russ is an egotistical guy who just shouts stories and tales of his accomplishments everywhere they can. But at the same time, he was so damn loyal that instead of gunning down his foes, he hit him with a fucking backbreaker to show his devotion to wrestling. If you want Vikings in space, you found it. Play the Vikings in space.
We're gonna build the wall. We
Play
have
Vikings
no choice.
in space, huh?
We have no choice.
And we got
Build that
Imperial
wall.
Fists.
Build that wall. Build that wall.
The Imperial Fists. Allegiance, Loyalist. Primarch, Rogel Dorn. A builder, a phalanx, and he needs a hand. Single word descriptor, fortify. The Imperial Fists are led by Primarch Rogel Dorn, their homeworld of Inuit. However, they themselves are actually a fleet-based chapter, with their main source of recruitment coming from an enormous moon-sized ship called the Phalanx. The Fists are a chapter you think of when you think of duty. They love to serve. The love to serve and the inability to be moved. Rogel Dorn is an architect, a master builder, and basically a rock in brain and body. A lack of humor or ability to lie shows that he is as blunt as the weapons of war he creates. Not the swords he makes, but like blunt, strong weapons. The Fists are the same. Take your archetypical American Marine style look, a buzz cut, a hard sense of duty, and then throw in some power armor and a love for building defenses, and you have the Imperial Fists. They are immovable. When you find a spot, they're ready to defend. You can't breach them. Their knowledge of defensive warfare is paramount. Without them, the Horus Heresy would have been so much more effective, but thanks to their insane and immovable tenacity, the Imperium lives today. And let's not forget that Iron Warrior and Imperial Fist rivalry. Want to know why the Iron Warriors are so bitter? these guys are the reason why.
Hey, guys, bring the thing! Where is he going? Hey! Hey, that could have killed me! Hey, guys! We missed!
Nah.
Get another!
Dorn and Perturabo are basically two sides of the same coin. One is just a bit more level-headed and got better jobs. If you want to be defensive, to be good at everything Space Marines are good at, bolters, heavy weapons, vehicles, you want a classic military fighting force, start fisting.
Start fisting, hell yeah. Night Lords, 8th Legion.
Oh boy. Oh boy, here we go. The Night Lords. Allegiance, heretic. Primarch, Conrad Kurz. A sadist, a vigilante, depresso espresso. Single word, fear. The Night Lords are my favorite legion, hailing from Nostromo and their Primarch, Conrad Kurz. They are a traitor legion from a planet known as the Sunless World or the World of Endless Night. Nostromo is a horrible hive city that is known for being host to some of the worst gang violence, murder, and working conditions around. The only thing keeping the population in check is the suicide rate. The Night Lords followed in the footsteps of their Primarch, a man who believed in a twisted sense of justice and that the only way to make humans compliant is through fear. The Legion's lesson has been lost on them, as their ranks were repopulated by gang members, murderers, arsonists, torturers, and other words I can't say on YouTube, as young as 12 years old. Murderers before they were even teenagers, raised to become demigods. Now, fear is what they sow, and flesh is what they reap. The Night Lords are scum. They are the exact opposite of all other legions. They torture and they maim and they flay because they think it's fun. They run away often so they can come back and kill you with more numbers. They prey on the innocent and the weak. They kill normal civilians because it's easy and flee any battle where they don't possess overwhelming
savages.
odds. They are the antithesis of normal Space Marines. They are scum. One time, a world did not comply to their demands, so they raided one of their ships and brought it into atmosphere. The crowds cheered and clapped as it appears that they had won the battle, and the airlocks opened and the skinned and flayed bodies of the crew were thrown down in the populace. In other words, a legion of gangers and criminals. Add together a heavy Slavic influence to them, and you've got my favorite faction.
You have not done the dishes for 5 years. So embarrassed. When
Blood
people come over here.
What
Angels.
does it matter? You bring them over, you kill them. Vampires don't do dishes.
The Blood Angels. Allegiance, loyal. Primarch, sanguineous. An angel, a vampire, a dead-ass motherfucker. Single word descriptor, blood. The Blood Angels are 9th Legion, hailing from the homeworld of Baal, with their Primarch, Sanguinius. The Blood Angels are a tragic tale with one of the best Primarchs, one beloved by almost everybody, a genuine angelic figure who led his people to glory, killed by the hands of the traitor Horus before the Emperor's eyes. The death of their Primarch led the entire Legion to madness as their gene seed malfunctioned and created something known as the Black Rage. The Blood Angels degrade over time, experiences something called the Red Thirst, which gives them a genuine vampiric thirst for blood. As their minds degrade and break down, they get angrier and angrier, becoming berserk killing machines with no other goal than to tear everything in sight apart. But they don't see it as that. They see themselves there, at their Primarch's demise, with Horus in sight. And to them, it's time for vengeance. That Space Marine over there, that Chaos Space Marine, that's Horus. Kill him. That Orc War Boss over there, Horus.
What?
Kill him. That Tyranid Swarm, 1,000 Horuses. Horai. Kill them all. Did your toast come out a little bit burnt? Taurus sabotaged your toaster. Destroy the toaster. Destroy it. Do it. Do it. Kill your toaster. Do it.
Bro.
This slow, debilitating disease takes over the Blood Angels, and it gives them this angelic, vampire, and Catholic-inspired imagery. They have chalices of blood. They rest in coffins and can even use psychic powers to sprout angel wings from their bodies. They are a tragedy through and through, and the only thing that will look more tragic are the mangled bodies of those they come in contact with.
I got a diesel engine, and honey, we forgot to mention, we're gonna take your job away.
The Iron Hands. Allegiance, loyalist. Primarch, Ferrus Manus, a machinist, an inventor, and not a great head on his shoulders. Single word, bionics.
Blood Angels sound
The
dope.
Iron
Yeah,
Hands are
dude.
from the home planet
Wild.
of Medusa and their
Vampiric,
Primarch, Ferrus Manus. Does
yeah,
Ferrus
wild.
Manus have an iron hand? You fucking know he's got an iron hand. The Iron Hands believe that the flesh is weakness. But despite all of their enhancements,
Is the volume
despite
too low,
all
you
the
guys, on the
things that
show?
make
Should I
them
put it up louder?
demigods,
What do you guys
replacing
think?
some of the flesh with bionics will allow them to serve the Emperor more. They go harm into vehicles and dreadnoughts.
7 and
Dreadnoughts
8.
being giant walking sarcophagi that have wounded space marines piloting them from the inside. Vehicles, metal upgrades. These are the things that make up this legion. Their tech marines have servo arms sticking out from all directions. They have a wide
Damn.
array of mechanics and extremely often
That
replace
axe looks
with metal
badass.
ones, serving all kinds of different functions to deal with their enemies. The Iron Hands are also not particularly nice. They're kind of assholes. I mean, Marines are already normally pretty big assholes, but they're a little bit up there because of their flesh, civilians made of flesh, because you see, the flesh is weak. Flesh is corruptible. Bionics, the strength of the machine is pure and cannot so easily be corrupted. So if you want people who have this little techno fetishistic vibe to them, that love their vehicles and their walking coffins, hit up the Iron Hands.
Understand, Commander? I was never here.
Legion 11.
11th Legion. Another one of the secret ones, right? I don't know if this sounds good. Cool, thanks, bro.
Why, hello there. I have returned from touching grass. I know. I'm pretty cool with the grass touching. And now let's continue our Warhammer lecture.
This ruffles my jammy.
World Eaters?
Okay,
Do they
so
really
what's
eat
going on
worlds?
here? I am a super sandwich.
The World Eaters. Allegiance, Heretic. Primarch, Angron, a butcher, a slaughterer.
Like extremely, earth-shatteringly, unreasonably fuck-ass mad.
Single word descriptor, anger. Hey you! Yeah, you! Are you mad? Do you just fucking hate everything?
Angry video
Do you
game
want to
nerd.
murder
Love that guy.
everything in sight and get rewarded for doing so? Then you should join the World Eaters. Home planet of Nuceria and Primarch, Angron,
have
who,
you
if the
played
name
on
didn't
my
suggest,
bedroom?
is real fucking angry. Angron was
Cool,
raised
thanks,
a
dude.
slave, forced to fight in gladiator
Hello,
pits. When he
wife.
refused,
Here we are,
they
we're doing
shoved
it.
old world tech into his brain.
husband's a
so that if
G,
he
he's
ever
hooking me
felt
up with
any
knowledge.
emotion other than anger, it caused him extreme pain. All his sons, wanting to be like their dad, also put a version of these nails in their brain. So now you have an entire legion who literally feel unimaginable pain if they are feeling any emotion other than anger. Slap them with a freight train of armor, 2 goddamn chainsaw axes, and you can see what's gonna happen.
Dude, that's badass.
It's
That
no
looks
wonder
badass.
they're corrupted by corn. They're honestly a surprisingly
Damn, look at that armor. I want to
sad
paint one of
legion that
those.
I actually screwed up in assuming that they were all just angry murderers. I mean, they are. But they didn't start out that way. Their corn corruption degraded their intelligence, their free will, and made powerful warriors into arguably even more powerful warriors, but blunt, like frothing at the mouth psycho warriors. The World Eaters, like I mentioned in the Space Wolves, they wear their concept on their sleeve. They are angry, they want to kill things, they want to kill you, and maybe some of their friends, and that's the faction. They're red, they're mad, they're gonna run at you and cause death. If you like that, you play the World Eaters.
Hell
or you
yeah.
like it because they were, at one point a lot better than that. Most of Warhammer was a lot better than that. I was once a lot better than that. That was when I was in college. I didn't finish college, and neither did Angron.
Hail, it is hail. Hail, Caesar. If it's not done by sunrise, I'll cut your balls off.
The Ultramarines. Allegiance, loyalist. Primarch Rabute Gilliman, that's how it's said. An analyst, a diplomat, a blueberry boy scout. Single word descriptor, duty. When you see Space Marines on a box or just Space Marines in promotional material, notice how they are always colored blue. These are the blue Space Marines. These ones here, the Ultramarines, who hail from the world of Macrog with their Primarch Rabute Gorilla Man. Ultramarines are the white bread of Space Marines, the grilled chicken with salt and pepper. This is by no means an insult.
Man, that's what I got though.
But that's also because they are so goddamn good at their job. Their skill for warfare is paramount, but so is their ability for leadership. Gilliman for a while was a damn boring Primarch for all the reasons he was great, because no matter how hard you try, you don't win a war without logistics, without supply lines, without trade routes, without infrastructure and economy. You don't win anything without all that stuff, and Gilliman knows it, which is why he has one of the largest standing empires in the Imperium, named Ultramar, which is why his sons are the most recognizable of all the Space Marines, which is why the only thing that rivals the weight of their victories is the weight of their egos. They are good at everything and bad at nothing. They are great at everything. Other legions can do other things better than them, but they are good at everything. The most interesting thing about the Ultramarines is their characters, as they are all now inflicted with various amounts of Ultra depression for many reasons. Gilliman is, at the time of recording, the only playable Primarch currently on the tabletop, and the only one that has returned to the 41st millennium for the Loyalist side. He took one look at what his empire has become and immediately wanted to fucking die. Being forced to lead everything he once hated, an Imperium rotten to its core with his sole responsibility to save it, is kind of what makes him interesting. They are a perfectly standard legion with perfectly standard ideals, and great if you want a simple, clean slate.
Uh-oh, stinky, funny poop, poop funny.
Death Guard, 14th Legion.
Allegiance, heretic. Primarch, Mortarian. A reaper, a poison, an ungodly stench. Single word descriptor, rot. The Death Guard hail from Barbaros, with the Primarch Mortarium. The 14th Legion were known for their incredible resilience to damage.
That's a lot of damage.
Where the Imperial Fists were
emotional damage
and posturing, the Death Guard were resilient because they could take a punch or a gut shot or a cannon to the chest and just keep on moving. They are slow, yet they are resistant, which was only confounded as a Death Guard captain, Typhus, codename Dickhead, sold them out to Nurgle, god of rot and decay. Now, the Death Guard are a Nurgle-worshipping infected legion whose ability to feel pain and take damage has all but just gone away. They wade through gunfire, able to kill normal Marines 10 times over and continue unharmed, all while spreading rot and disease in the name of their dark, very stinky master. Where the Death Guard enter, plague spreads. People get sick and they die. They spread debilitating disease to all around them. Why would a legion need to be anything more than very tanky when their enemies are falling over, puking, firing out of both ends, and having their skin peel off just by their presence? Entire worlds infested with a zombie rot, swarms of insects that eat flesh and metal alike, all while the legion advances slowly, painfully, allowing the disease they spread to take its toll before they reap the lives they believe belong to them. And look at Mortarian's model, dude. The man is baller as fuck. A gigantic moth with a gigantic scythe. Come on now. The Death Guard.
For my next trick!
1,000 Suns.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
The 1,000 Suns. Allegiance, heretic. Primarch, Magnus the Red. A scholar, a sorcerer, a fucking nerd. Single word descriptor, magic. The 1,000 Suns hail from their homeworld of Prospero, with their Primarch Magnus the Red. The final of our 4 major Chaos God factions, the 1,000 Suns are disciples of Tzeentch, the Changer of Ways. Heavily inspired by their Egyptian theming, the Legion themselves are slaves to the god of trickery and change. Most of them no longer even having a physical form, reduced to just dust, piloting suits of armor at the whim of a sorcerer leader. The 1,000 Suns do not deserve their fate. There's a common joke that Magnus did nothing wrong. This is untrue. He has done much wrong. However, he is very sympathetic, mainly because the Space Wolves and Lehman Russ sought to end their rivalry through the annihilation of their legion,
after I kill the stream, I'm down to check it out. But
and forever change.
We're a little busy right now putting some figures together.
Their main tool. Take some Lovecraftian style abilities, the eyes everywhere, and potent spells to be cast at their foes. Whether these are bolts of psychic lightning, reversing time itself, opening up portals to unreality, or changing the very fabric of the universe. The Thousand Suns sorcery knows no bounds, and they are very good at it. If you're a fan of like wizards, your classic style of spellcaster, and you want a ton of them, combined with a tragic backstory and a Primarch who, like Mortarion, looks fucking baller, the Thousand Suns are for you.
You fucking asshole! There's no way. You're a fucking cheater. You're such a sore loser. You're a cheater. My dad works at Nintendo!
The Sons of Horus, or the Luna Wolves, or the Black Legion. Allegiance? Heretic. Primarch? Horus, a warlord, a treasured friend, or the traitor himself. Single word descriptor: assault.
Assault.
The Sons of Horus are the formal name of Horus's legion, hailing from the world of Chthonia. The Sons of Horus themselves were assault troops. The strength of their attack was some of the most powerful in the legions. While the White Scars may give speed for their strikes, the Sons of Horus were known for their overall offensive power. It was even said that if the Sons of Horus met the Imperial Fists, they would be at a stalemate for eternity. However, the Sons of Horus are no longer, because, well...
So we got two Termagants now.
Crystals pop and fizz when you throw them back. And who doesn't love a good throwback?
Oh, we got commercials. Let me pause the sound. All right. 2 Termagants done. 8 more to go. And a Ripper Swarm. How long we been on? An hour and 18? Ah, we're off. We're doing all right. Skip.
They are now instead the Black Legion, led by Abaddon the Despoiler, who claims to succeed where his father failed. The Black Legion are still an offensive and assault-based force, but they act much like the Ultramarines, but for chaos. Your standard black and brass Space Marine, who are known for recruiting in all different kinds of avenues. Anyone can become a member of the Black Legion. Anyone can swear allegiance to the War Master. You gain favored by not just one, but all 4 gods equally. Their famous line, "Let the galaxy burn,"
Let the
is the
galaxy
best way to
burn,
describe them.
damn.
It doesn't matter what the outcome is. So long as the Imperium dies, the Black Legion has done its job. They are a legion formed from hatred and spite, with a clear goal in mind. As the Dark Gods are calling, and the Black Legion are sure to answer.
Hello. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?
No.
Word bearers?
The Word Bearers. Allegiance? Heretic. Primarch? Lorgar Aurelian. A preacher. A fanatic. A choir boy. Single word descriptor? Zeal. If the Black Legion answer the call of the Dark Gods, what if instead you decide to call the gods first? Well, then the Word Bearers are for you. The 17th Legion, led by Primarch Lorgar on the planet of Colchis. Originally obsessed with worshipping the Emperor of Mankind as a god, they found that despite his divinity, he was not worthy of worship. Because, you know, he raised their equivalent of Jerusalem to the ground for daring to worship him. Like,
damn.
Could you imagine if God actually showed up and was just like, Jerusalem is stupid, it just destroyed the whole thing.
Yo.
Like, what would that do to your head? But there are gods that want worship and will reward those who do. The Word Bearers are chaos worshippers to a T. All chaos gods. They specialize in demonic rituals, the summoning of demons, and the mutual possession of their own troops. They welcome demons to their bodies to fight as one. They exalt the dark gods themselves for aid, and guess what? they answer. In the world of 40K,
Oh, yeah?
Satan doesn't just call you back. He hops in his GT Mustang and he crashes on your couch.
Yeah.
In the world of 40K, your rituals will end with genuine results. The word bearers know this. They know through sacrifices, through devotion, through dark baptism, the gods will answer and they will be rewarded. So they use it. They bring forth demons. They bring forth possessions. They bring forth the power of the neverborn, the damned, and those that hide in the dark to bear against the Imperium. Lorgar sits there, smiling, as the truth he always knew, the existence of gods and the importance of faith, is a reality. And it is a tool he is using to rend the galaxy.
Dear Sir Stroke Madam, fire! Exclamation mark.
Gerald, what's up, buddy? Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing us.
The
From the thumbnail, it looks
Salamanders,
like you
Allegiance,
are doing
Loyalists,
a
Primarch, Vulcan,
manicure
a Forge
stream
Master, a Behemoth,
with that file.
a
Does it
very
really?
huggy boy. Single word descriptor, fire. The Salamanders
funny.
hail from Nocturne, a volcanic planet
Whoops.
home to their Primarch
Damn.
Vulcan.
Yeah, I
They
definitely
are
need
the
to get a better
largest
one.
of the Space Marines,
One
not
that's
due to
not
numbers,
pink.
but rather size. Vulcan, he
That's
is
what I
an
get for
enormous
asking
slab
somebody
of
for one.
beef, by far the largest of all the Primarchs. However, don't let his size fool
Now you're
you,
sad
as
that
he
you
is
won't get beauty
also
tips.
the
I'm sorry,
kindest.
pal. Will you
Salamanders
make sure
have
you
the juxtaposition
moisturize?
of looking frightening, being
clean your dirty
larger than
fingernails.
other Marines, while also boasting an ashy, like coal-colored skin and blazing red eyes, while simultaneously
We're almost
carrying
there, bro.
around
We did
all manner
all the
of
Ultramarines. We got
weaponry.
5
So
of
your
them
average
done.
civilian might be spooked, but in
then we
reality,
got
they are
2
by far the kindest of all the
Termagants
legions
finished.
to those civilians. Vulcan believes
We're on the
that to
third
safeguard
Termagant.
the Imperium is to, at the end of the day,
Double check.
safeguard its
Yeah,
people. So unlike other
Termagant.
legions who put their lives far and above the average human, the Salamanders spend significantly more time trying to save them, often taking numerous losses by doing so. They are very independent as well. They're forgers and blacksmiths, maintaining their own weapons and crafting versions of it. They also have the very rare privilege of being able to see their families even after becoming a Space Marine. They care, which is the funny part, because the 7.5 foot tall giant with flaming red eyes who just reduced a traitor to bubbling metal says, "You have nothing to fear, young citizen. Take my hand." If you enjoy fire, melting things, and being the nicer of the Marines, Salamanders are for you.
All right. I don't really feel like being a nice Marine. Raven Guard.
Saga, sneak attacks don't work if you
Funny they
yell
don't
it out loud.
advertise
The
their
Raven
Primarch.
Guard. Allegiance,
Their Primarch wording
Loyalists,
over
Primarch,
kids.
Corvus, Corax, a Raven,
probably
a
not.
Shadow, an industrial dance DJ. Single word descriptor, stealth. The Raven Guard are the final Loyalist Legion at
Bob,
19
how are you,
and hail
bro?
from the planet Deliverance with Primarch, Corvus, Corax. If it hasn't been made
Salamander's
clear enough
dirty
already, the Raven
underside.
Guard are stealth
Yeah.
specialists and proficient in all manners of assassination. Despite this, their
this is
signature
wild,
wing
dude.
jump pack
All
and
the
double
lore is
lightning claw look
wild.
as well, not very stealthy. They are named after, of course, the Raven and embody the entire concept of it as a herald of death. They are stealthy, patient hunters that have no problem with waiting and waiting and waiting until the moment to strike is at hand. It's not easy being a stealth faction when your stealth involves people in 1 ton of power armor, but they find a way. That, more than anything, should not be used to show how ridiculous 40K is, even though it is, but rather to show how good the Raven Guard are at their jobs. It's not about them sneaking around you without being seen, but it's also about them having lied in wait for so long that it wasn't until they were in striking distance that you even realized they had been there. And also, if you want, edgelord Marines with a long black haircut, pale skin, ravens everywhere, if you want to field assassins and snipers abound, then the Raven Guard are for you.
He could be in this very room. He could be you. He could be me. He could even be... Whoa, whoa, whoa! What? It was obvious.
The Alpha Legion. Allegiance? Heretic. Primarch? Alpharius and Omegon. Saboteurs, destabilizers, they're in your walls. Single word descriptor? Espionage. Finally, the 20th Legion, the Alpha Legion, led by Alfarius and Omegon, the only Legion to have two Primarchs who were split as twins. The Alpha Legion are heretical.
A little later, you guys, in a couple of hours, maybe
in destabilization of society and armies. Their entire shtick is the Hydra, because when you cut off one head,
like 6:30 Pacific time, in like 4.5 hours, we're going to be watching some Stargate SG-1. We're going to be starting season 3, you guys. It's on Amazon. If anybody that has Amazon, you can catch it on Amazon.
Are liars. They make the largest use of sleeper cells and cultists in the Chaos Space Marine factions because it's extremely easy.
I have commercials, which sucks, but
when you poison our water
I'll be doing the watch party in a few hours.
Crops and delivered a plague unto our houses.
Where the Raven Guard use stealth and sabotage to eliminate their enemies, the Alpha Legion prefer to weaken them over time with sleeper agents, impersonations, basically anything you can imagine from a hardcore spy movie or Cold War level espionage. Being Alfarius is not only an honor, being Alfarius is a requirement. There's a story of someone chasing down an Alpha Legion agent for years upon years, and when they finally catch up with them and they see them, they see that the agent is wearing the same face as their pursuer, because this was the plan all along, to kill him and take his spot. We're talking facial reconstruction surgery, we're talking hacking, we're talking political assassination and impersonation, everything. They are Space Marines in name only, because being a strong stoic warrior is not what the Alpha Legion is interested in. In fact, the Alpha Legion is interested in you not even knowing that the Alpha Legion is a thing. I am Alfarius. You are Alfarius. We are all Alfarius in his Lord's glorious army. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a little something. I hope if you were on the fence, I learned a lot of something. Thank you, Bricky. You wanted to field, you would now have a better idea of what you want to play. Buy my Gamer Sub Shaker. It's on sale. It's on pre-order. It's ready to go. Necessarily serve as someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about.
This guy.
More context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello everybody.
Cheers, you guys. Thank you for being here.
Bricky, and this is going to be a long video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is... I need two hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
So funny, dude.
Now you see, Warhammer.
He edits his videos pretty well, dude.
A universe people
I like it, dude.
Plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs. And then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
That's where I'm at.
Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about and what the Warhammer universe is about
11
as well,
and 12.
to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there. I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much. And I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them. And we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well in case you are curious about that. But for this episode entirely, we are discussing the Imperium of Man.
Imperium of Man.
That takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore.
Oh, boo-hoo!
What is Warhammer 40,000? Well, the 40,000 starts off is the year
40,000. The 41st millennium, that's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD.
That's wild, dude.
You're
Like,
already
we're in the year
more
2000, you know what I
Let me read
mean?
you a quote, first of many
What?
quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day.
Every
So that
day?
he may never truly die. To
Wow.
be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions.
I thought the
It is
throne
to
was
live
keeping
in
him alive.
The coolest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is
Damn.
no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods. Everything blows.
That's only 3,000.
And it blows
Or I'm sorry, that's only
fucking
36,500 souls a
Warhammer is
year,
probably
bro.
the most dark and depressing universes
Only?
ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible,
It is, but he's
destructive, or
fed
overpowered
psychers as
that it
well,
all
more
kind of
like
ends up
4,000 a
canceling
day
itself out.
now
It's like
as
Dota.
failing
War
in
rages
recent lore.
across the galaxy.
Damn.
Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war,
Only?
slaughter, and a bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks, but that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil, but being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity in its own right is a xenophobic, prejudice, and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer. Nobody is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass.
Yeah, that's
Villains
right.
are cool.
That's what I was
They're
saying.
Cool. They got cool outfits. They got cool weapons. They got cool armies. Villains are cool, man. And when everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool.
Hell
That's
yeah.
what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about the main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack. It's gear, whack.
The Imperium of Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the emperor of mankind, a 10-foot tall psychic demigod
10-foot tall?
who led humanity across the stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age.
Praise the
This
Emperor.
Man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a Psyker. And a Psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k, there is the Warp, the Immaterium, kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of
The
hell.
Warp.
And a Psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big
The
boy
Mighty
Psyker.
Hobbit, welcome, bro. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.
maybe even
Ricky's a good
S. Now, the
choice, good
Emperor
info,
created a
and a
bunch of
funny
sons.
delivery.
Yes,
It's
created
good
a
stuff.
bunch of
Thanks,
sons
bro.
known
Yeah,
as
we
the
were
Primarchs.
recommended it
He
by
created
German
20
Graves. And yeah, dude, we're having a good time. We're building our little homies. We already finished the Space Marines. Now we're on the Tyranids
to the different
from the
stars
starter
and
set.
plans to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are
Yeah,
basically like
buddy.
little versions of the Emperor.
Thanks
Not
for
all
stopping by,
disciples,
man.
But a lot of them are very,
Appreciate
very
it.
powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth.
this is wild,
to fight
man.
down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what
I wish I would have
Chaos
known
is,
about
the
this
way I mentioned
20
earlier,
years
the
ago.
warp, that Immaterium, the hellish place, in there relies the 4 chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor.
So
on Earth.
Horus
And they
never really did it
fucked
himself. He was
shit.
manipulated.
After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor. And right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on
Damn.
Earth, in which he is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40K, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going?
What's up,
the
buddy?
Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator
all
right there. He helps navigate
Erebus's
you
fault.
to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to
course,
some
Ariel
crazy
sucks
solar
too.
system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then
I'm
you need
learning,
to
I'm
know where
learning.
you're going. Go through there and pop
Not
your
that
way
any
out. It's like
chaos polluted
doing
person
nether travel
would
in
admit that
Minecraft, so
they're
you can
puppets,
shorten the
though.
distance between going to areas. So long as the
was looking
Emperor
at
is
the
alive
friend
and
on
being
my
fed
street going
1,000
out the
people a
place.
day to stay alive,
Third
you can do
grade,
that. The moment he
dang,
dies,
dude. That's awesome, bro.
interstellar travel's gone for all
Yes,
of
Horus was
humanity.
manipulated super
You're
hard.
so
That
owned.
sucks,
Now,
dude.
since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago,
Yeah, I thought he
the
just, you know,
Imperium has
got some
fallen
chip
from
off his
grace
shoulder and he was all,
substantially.
I'm gonna overthrow
All
my
technology has
dad,
started
take
to
over the
dwindle and
universe,
die.
kind of thing.
There is now
I'm sure that's what
giant
happened, but like
fundamentally
through
religious
manipulation, you know.
extremists that now
I thought he
believe
was
the
just
Emperor
woke
of
up one day and was all, you know
was
what?
a deity, a true living
This is
God,
my universe.
which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the Holy Emperor God, the God
The
Emperor
Holy Emperor
of mankind.
God.
And all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name.
Wow.
The Imperium has this
Wild.
futuristic gothic tone to it and a hefty religious
Vietnamese style, what's up, dude? We are, bro. We already put all our
that's
Space Marines
heresy and
together.
you
We're
deserve
working
to
on the
die.
little
That
monster
is called
guys, the
being a
Tyranids.
heretic. Heretics die in
We're almost there. We
There is
got
no
2 of
such
the little
thing as
guys done.
freedom of
There's
religion. There is no
actually
such
we're
thing
just
as
finishing up
freedom
the
of
third
speech,
one.
so
There's gonna
long
be
as
7
you
more to
are
do.
against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others.
Hell yeah.
But
Yeah,
no
dude,
matter
how
what,
you doing, man?
you're preaching that
Hope you're doing
word.
good and
So
your week's
right
going
now,
smooth.
Everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well.
All right.
So long as the murder
I'll keep that in mind,
and
Bricky.
humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Astro Militarum, Imperial Guard, alright.
The Imperial
Yeah, he got
Guard
played
is the
pretty hard.
main
Only a
fighting
couple traitor
force
Primarchs
of
were
the
actually
Imperium.
evil or
And in a
prone to
world of
evil before the
horrifying
Horus
creatures,
Heresy.
galactic
Okay.
monstrosities, the literal demons themselves
I'm
breaking
walking
into the
again?
fabric
Hell
of
yeah,
time to kill
dude.
you.
Walk it,
The
walk it,
Imperial
walk it.
Guard are untold
Getting stronger day by day.
billions
Cool,
of
dude.
regular
Congratulations.
men
Yeah, dude. I
and
hope that
women
ankle's feeling
wearing
better.
modern day,
Yeah, dude.
like flak armor with a
Puts
laser
a constraint
rifle.
on your
This is
life
the
when you
humble
can't really walk
Lasgun,
around.
the main weapon
I,
of the Imperial Guard.
know how you feel,
It fires
kinda.
superheated plasma laser.
9
at
brothers in
extremely
chat?
fast fire
Hell
rate. It's
yeah.
reliable, never
For the
jams,
Emperor!
can blow off limbs,
Nice,
giant
dude.
holes in concrete. It is overall.
Thank you guys
an
for being here
extremely
again. I
devastating
appreciate
weapon.
you guys.
In modern day,
it wouldn't be possible without viewers like you.
One of the weakest in the 40K.
Cheers, you guys.
Yeah, a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs. One of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But
damn, I'll take one of those weakest weapons.
The Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000 of these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower.
Damn.
They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company
legions of comrades,
generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions.
What does heresy even mean if everyone is a heretic?
Sundering firepower.
It's a good point.
They are the first and last line of defense for the Imperium. They make up a huge bulk of the battles.
Yeah, don't even trip, man. Work and learn. No worries, man. We're chilling. We're having a good time, relaxing, maxing.
That's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches, where nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan Winter Soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years, the Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle, and then of course the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5. You will disassemble and reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not.
Emperor was definitely not a Father of the Year candidate.
They're the army I like the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most.
Didn't get that award this year.
Enjoy in the lore.
But I mean,
there's something about just a
he is kind of keeping the universe, the galaxy together, though, right?
The horrors of this universe and willingly doing so for his god.
You gotta give him some credit.
Poetic. They actually represent the main
no father
Guard
points.
tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships.
I want them all!
Pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Space Marines.
What? The Angels of Death.
Angels of Death are up next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty massive people. And these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines. The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard, and there's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a
Yeah,
whole lot to
buddy,
say
the starter
about
set,
Space
it came with
Marines.
a couple of
They're
paints.
fast. In fact,
A
it's
couple
been
of paints
said
down here.
that nothing
Introductory
that large
set.
should move
Whoops.
that quick.
I'm
These men
dropping
in
them
power
already.
armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin is tougher. They are overall just extremely powerful soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Girlman.
Yeah, the introductory set. Yeah, I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna paint them what they're supposed to be. I'm not gonna like
trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong and
go away from what they're supposed to be.
The White Scars by Jagatai Khan are
Maybe
all
after I
about
get
speed,
into it a
free
little
scope,
more,
fast,
or if I end up with the
attack
doubles
bikes,
or something,
we're
maybe I'll
talking
just
land
mess
speeders,
around
you
and
wanna go in quick, you wanna
give
hit
them their own
hard, you
makeover.
wanna be
But
swarming around like buzz
yeah, we're just keeping it as is for now.
Buzzsaws. With the speed of buzzsaws.
Thanks.
Fuck you, Pale King. Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines.
Yeah, dude,
Space
exactly.
Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing. Because
I know
of
if
their
I
genetic
want to do different colors, I'm going to be thinking like, oh, what color should I pick, or which guys should I use as a template. First build. Yeah. No, I get you.
Not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes. Apparently something about
Great for
living on their
primary,
home planet of
secondary.
Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like fantasy land anyway. Overall, Salamanders are actually my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore.
For painting?
As opposed to being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine
Ultramarines
legions.
are like the jack of all trades, Legion 2.
The power of the siege,
so
defensive positions, Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets, Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings, and
tripping over my letters over here. Color, yeah. Okay, cool.
Axes, battle axes, fur
Alright, I'm
everywhere,
down.
Space Wolves,
Yeah, the primer that I have is gray right now. 'Cause
genetic defect to make them want to drink
I heard,
blood
you know,
and go
get black and
crazy all the way
white, but
first. They have
we're just
cupid wings
taking it
and
easy
stuff,
right
so
now. I don't want to
strange,
spend
and
too
they are
much
all
on just like
super
the supplies that I need to just do this. So
Dark Angels are
I
old
tried to take the
school,
cheap
nice,
route. We
and
got
inner
one
circle
can of
theme
spray
and-
primer, and it's like a gray.
Are you a heretic?
It's not black or white, but it's right in between.
Death Watch, fancy pantsy anti-Xenos group that nobody plays
All
because
gray.
Death
All
Watch
gray?
and
So
look
just
cool,
primer
but
and
no one
go.
plays them. I don't know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
I'm just
there,
gonna
though.
prime the
Black
whole thing,
Templars for the people who,
and
if you
then
haven't
do my
played
best
at
to
least
paint
3
them. And I
times
know
a
they're
day,
gonna
you're
come
start
out
praying
kind of
that
trashy
airlock
looking because they're my
I'm sure
first
there's some
ones,
other
but
chapters I may have missed as well. Like
I want to try to do it right the first time, and you know, make a habit of doing it right
from the
or
Emperor himself.
the way it should be done.
They shall be my
So I'm taking so long to like
warriors,
get all the
these men who
plastic
give of
off and
themselves
shave
to
this
me.
down.
Like
And
clay, I shall
I mean, that's
mold
the
them,
fun
and in
part
the
about it
furnace
too.
of war,
I'm
I
having a
shall
good time
forge
doing
them.
this.
They shall be of iron will and
Chilling with you guys, talking, watching lore.
I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease.
Black is old school?
No
Okay.
sickness shall blight them. They shall have.
Yeah, I've seen everybody that I've seen on videos is pretty much doing like the black, and then like from wherever the light source is, like a hit of white.
Of humanity.
Give it
They
those
are
shadow
my
looks.
Space Marines, and they shall know no fear.
Hell yeah.
Are a fighter,
Alright.
and this is your reward. Medela,
I use
the mark
black
of the
then white from spray cans if you paint on
And on the
primer.
tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall, Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife, a tool
You take
for
your sweet time.
anything
I
you
sure
need,
will. Yeah, no, we're
except
just
it's
chilling,
a
relaxing.
gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong.
We're doing all
if you
right.
are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast,
I don't
run in,
want to go
or
too
even just
fast
full
and get
melee,
burned out
all
either.
these
But
options are totally there for
so
you.
far,
Space
so
Marines
good.
are super badass.
Like I said, I couldn't sleep last night. I needed to
It's time we
get
start
me some
praying
more
to our new
40K
god, the
going.
2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology! The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult on Mars. Now, these people are a little
Preface
bit
half the
weird
battle,
because they don't
otherwise
actually
paint and glue
really
don't
believe in
stick
the Emperor
right,
of Mankind.
so you
And you
keep
might
it.
think, oh,
Yeah,
whoa,
that's the
Berkey,
one
that
fear I
sounds
have is
some
like
heresy.
messing up and
They
not
believe
shaving
in the
something
Emperor,
down
they believe
enough
in
and
his
it not
power,
fitting,
but
and
they
especially
don't
I'm
pray
not
to
using
him.
any glue
They
now.
pray to something
Maybe
called
later
the
on.
Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah
Stay in
is
habit,
this
that way I
kind of
don't
machine
mess
god
that up
they
later.
believe permeates in all machines. And if you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different god as well? That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish, but they also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks, and they make everything that you have, so you can't really tell them to fuck off?
For sure, don't rush. It's an awesome
Because
investment
you're
of
not going to win
time
nothing
and
if you
an
don't got stuff to shoot
exercise
people
of
with.
patience.
See,
Hell
their
yeah, dude. Sure
Omnissiah
is.
At least makes sense from their standpoint.
I'm having a good
They believe
time.
it
It's
to be a
dope.
deity that permeates through all machines.
I'm definitely
Your
gonna want to
Hut
get another
your
set
standard
after
bolt
this.
gun,
I
your
feel like
Dune Strider
I know painting's
your
gonna take a
giant
while, but
mechs,
like
your huge ships. The Omnissiah
it'll go quick. It'll be over
and
before I know
the
it.
only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works.
Wow.
If you want your gun to work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You
Yo.
need to sit on your knees and
Speaking
pray
about
to
burning
that
incense.
star. You need to rub oil on your robes, and you need to
Super
go
heresy.
humana.
Heresy.
If you want your damn thing to work, if you want your gun to fire, you need to do that. They are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point because it's obviously working. And if you look at them,
Stick in there.
I don't know how that works. So they
Go
obviously
with
know
lavender.
something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Magos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude.
Damn. That looks badass too. They all look badass. Some of them don't look super badass, but they're all badass.
Creed. The credo, Omnissiah. There is no truth in flesh.
Not even some of them. There was like
only
one or two that I
betrayal.
thought,
There is no
he
strength
looks
in
kind of
flesh,
normal.
only weakness. There is no constancy.
But everybody
in
else,
flesh,
dude, looks
only
wild.
decay. There is no certainty in flesh, but death. Flesh is weakness. Flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because
That's
is
a good
what
chill
he
smell.
wants,
Yeah.
and that is how you will become enlightened.
I had to grab
Hard
both intro
technophiles,
boxes. As much Warhammer
mixed with
as I've played, I don't own a single Warhammer mini in my
Now, for their army side of
thousands
things,
of
they
minis.
are with the Skitari. The Skitari
Damn.
operate with
Yeah,
very
dude.
bizarre weaponry and lots of different
Let me
kinds
know
of
when they
vehicles,
come in, bro.
people in between. They're
Are you
very
gonna
weird,
stream building them also, or are you gonna just kind of build them on your own time?
quite effective both in the
Relaxing.
real game and in the lore, weaponry, and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different
Stream it, bro.
shenanigans. But if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so paranoid. I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle. Yep. The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though, let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an ego.
Next week, I'm gonna try to paint my Skaven on stream. Hell yeah, dude.
Adeptus Sororitas,
I'll definitely
if
be
that's how I
there.
pronounce it correctly, is an all-female group of battle sisters going.
If there's
through
anybody
the
else that live
ecclesiarchy
streams or makes videos, got to
Imperium.
YouTube, let
The
me
ecclesiarchy
know.
is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary. And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force.
Praise the
and
great
they take this to
horned
a
rat.
full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the Bolter, the Flamer, and the Melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos.
Okay,
and
damn, I'm down.
Mainly heretics,
Hell yeah.
because as they are a fighting section of the Ecclesiarchy Church, that's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons, the Bolter, the Flamer, and the Melta, and they will do so with extreme prejudice. Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space, and I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher.
Yo, a pipe organ missile launcher tank?
That they have removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to
Yeah, dude, I was
fly
just about to
around
say, they
and
look like
do
cherubs.
ammunition and shit. They drop churches from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles.
Extreme Sunday school.
War hymns and holy music from their
Bro.
frigates in low atmosphere and shower holy water across the battlefield.
Yo.
These are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome.
What?
They can literally
Which ones were these
stave
called?
off demons on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember
What?
the warp, the demons from the warp? Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive.
Sisters
go
of
through
Battle?
the warp. It's the
Sisters of
immaterial
Battle?
of all things.
Dude, they
So
sound
if you are
wild.
That mentally fortified.
Operation
that
Meteor
mentally
style
strong, you can
on a whole nother
stave
level.
off horrifying demons. And all these girls, oh, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gabloglian, yeah, which I can't unsee anymore, I gotta say,
Danny
I
DeVito's so
love
funny,
their
dude.
design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently, and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint from the Triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over-the-top badassery in a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it, is it over the top.
That looks
But
crazy.
Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, oh, this is such a cool faction. By Bolter Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of
Holy
their
hand
sin
grenade
of
type
existence.
shit.
So it
That's
has
awesome,
been
dude.
for 5
Yeah, it's
millennia,
badass.
so
Sisters
shall
are a
it
lot of
be
fun.
until the end of time.
That'll
And
be
speaking
definitely a model I want to do.
burning
Something from them.
The Grey Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100,000 guardsmen, there's one Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's one Grey Knight. For every 1,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight. Grey
there's
Knights
just
are
one
the
Grey Knight?
strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon of
Grey Knights are
Titan in the
sick,
Sol
but
system,
damn, are they
Grey
tiny
Knights are
compared to
thrown
new
through
Terminators?
extremely
Oh,
rigorous
yeah.
training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be. Since the demons of the warp are the warp, and your mind projects to the warp, people
Took a
can
minute
go
to clean this
insane
one off.
very
I
fast,
left
especially
too much
lower-level
plastic
psychers.
on the model
These
still,
Grey
and
Knights
then
need to be able
shaving
to
it down all the
harness
way.
the warp
Whew, took a minute.
in the presence of demons
17
and
and
stay
18. Wait.
perfectly same. One of
13
their
and
characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade
Demon
of
blade?
Mahamahama, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power, use my strength, suck my penis. There's a possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently. And he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all the characters in the Grey Knights are basically like that. The only issue is that the Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons and the Grey Knights arrive and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk. And so guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard kind of people. They
everything you don't clean up, those mistakes get amplified when you paint it. Yeah.
Strong. You only have so many characters.
I don't want that. I want it to look nice. I want it to look crisp, fresh.
And you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but
handled.
You don't have numbers. And so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're either going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am the hammer. I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, that they're holy enough, you want to be holier, Grey Knights. Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
We're just hitting the 2-hour mark, you guys, for the stream. Probably gonna go one more hour.
Do you want to kill
one more hour before I kill this stream.
Per turn?
We'll see where we are in an hour.
A gigantic old school knight noble house style.
And then later on, I'll be back for Stargate SG1.
Giant chainsaw arms.
Season 3.
You got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old school like house feel to them. Like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house, and each of them act in their own special way. These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions of troops. Like, these things do not mess around, and they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy walkers, and they look different depending on your house or chaos god you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer, and if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project, too. Getting more back down to earth, let's talk something about a little bit different, a little more gold. If guardsmen are regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers, the Adeptus Custodes are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodes are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay, but that's all. I only have 3, okay?
This guy.
They are our final brand of Space Marines, but these ones are super special. Okay, if a guardsman is 6 foot, a Space Marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra, themselves. These are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room. Hence, Custodes. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life. And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These custodians
They do
put
look
Space
like
Marines
banana
to
men.
shame. If you liked your super soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilan Shield. The Aquilan Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5-foot tall golden god because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however, and there's actually an extremely small amount of them, but that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good, and the custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready. Always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within, little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years, I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared, I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years, I stood my watch, and as it ends, I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, are also known as blanks.
Bro, they don't get that much love because they're bald, bro.
So as every mind is somewhat connected to the
And it's
war,
not like they
these
can't grow hair, they
blanks
just
are a genetic
choose to not grow
mutation
hair
that
anywhere
has
except for right there.
suppressed heavily. Because of that mind
I mean, that's pretty much the
suppression,
only
normal
place you want them to
people
have
feel
hair,
this
you know what I mean?
Weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, you know, killed or something
Sent the last
at a very young
video if you
age
like
because
to
they
watch
just
it still.
emit
Hell
a
yeah.
horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature. But if there's a demon issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats.
Ventress do be a baddie.
In fact, they only have like
Asajj is
one real
badass.
model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get something new soon because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore. But hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
Officio assassin? Oh, what?
So
Assassin
on video, we're about
something?
to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum. Oh boy, these
Officio
people
Assassinorum.
are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio Assassinorum, a very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the what was it called? Schola Progenium. It's basically an orphan school. Your parents got murdered by demons or something, you get sent to this and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even. Maybe you get a blank gene and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken out, you go to one of 4 temples because the
Sometimes you
Assassinorum
just
works in a
disappear.
temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks waiting for their perfect target, taking people out from literal
I don't know if
miles
YouTube lets you
away
put links
after
in
an
the comments
extremely
because
long time
it wasn't showing
periods.
up earlier.
The
He had to send it to my
Vindicator temple is
Discord.
about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicators being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot. Time
But
is
all these
done.
videos are from this guy named
The
Bricky.
Caldus Temple, however,
Yeah,
is a
it
lot
says
more about
Bricky.
shape-shifting and deviant art.
That's from
It's
4 years
mostly a
ago?
female-based
Jeez.
one, or at least it seems to be, and this
Where have
allows
I
a lot
been?
of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed. Or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And
I'm gonna have to binge this
lots of
channel.
drawings,
Yeah, dude.
Lots of drawings. The Eversword
I'm gonna be doing the same.
Just kind of disturbing one. The Eversword Temple.
Anytime
is
we
about
do
when you
anything
go in and you
Warhammer
come out
live,
alive,
we'll throw
friend
some
or
Bricky
foe.
on.
You want it all dead. An
And
Eversword is
I'll probably catch some while I'm not
psychogenically
live too,
with
because
just
there's a lot,
psychotherapy
and I need to learn.
psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead.
Alright.
And then you
Our
defrost
fourth
full of just all this insane, mind-boggling
Our fourth
psychotherapy
termagant
and
is
psychedelic
finished.
drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause, send them in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple, the Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among
He's got a
other
podcast?
temples.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that night,
Alright.
the people will go to the
Thanks,
Caluxus
Germ.
with
Yo,
this as well.
Germ, what do you
And
prefer,
this is where they
Germ or
harness
Graves or
that to be
just G?
massively anti-psycher or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with
I
extreme
say Germ, but
and
you know,
distrust among many people.
I don't want to be calling you a Germ.
Described by the Eldar by quote as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable.
I'm down for Graves or
feeling from
G,
that
but if you
blank gene
prefer
I mentioned,
Germ,
and then
I'll
imagine
use
them
Germ.
being taught and given
I can say
equipment
Germ Graves
to
all the way
amplify it
through.
by 100.
Germ is fine?
If
Alright,
normally
you got it.
regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker,
Alright.
the
The
sheer
next one,
presence of a
17 and
Caluxus assassin
18.
is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person. The Caluxus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, "That which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear." Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves.
All right,
but
no
at
worries.
the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And
Adeptus
they work the way you
Ridiculous is
generally want
Bricky's
them to, though.
podcast he
You wanna
does with
cause
a
some
couple
distortion and weird stuff, you
co-hosts
take a
and
Caldus.
guests.
You want to just murder
Here and
swaths
there.
of
It's a
infantry
lot
and
of
blow up
fun.
Eversword.
I will definitely
You wanna
check
kill
it
that
out,
one
bro.
guy, Vindicare, and if you have a lot of psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice
I'm
little
down.
like jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now, let's talk about the last human faction. We can round this video out before we do part 2. The Inquisition. And we have a lot to talk about with them.
On the subject of heresy!
Oh boy. Where do I even begin with the Inquisition? take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10.
Oh, yeah?
And give them the most power in the entire Imperium.
So you saved the best for last, huh?
How about this? This right here It's not just a quote.
I need to get my fantasy
This
armies
is the
out. I got so bummed
imperial
when they switched
motto,
to
the
AOS.
motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation.
What's AOS? Oh, Age of
Innocentia
Sigmar.
Nihil probat. Innocence.
Yeah, that's what
proves
Area
nothing.
51 was saying.
The most powerful.
That he'll never get used to the name Age of
in the
Sigmar.
Imperium. The secret police. Their number one
There he
motto
is.
innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like the secret police or like detectives to find issues in the Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all
Malleus's
have
armor
different
looks wild.
specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes. And yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved.
Yeah?
That this planet is demon infested and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet. I will now sign the death warrant
Wow,
of
and just knock out the whole planet, huh?
as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow
AOS is arguably the better
This can mean
game
saturation
system, but the lore just does nothing for me. Warhammer Fantasy has such good lore.
Render this
So was it Space Marines 2 that got you into 40k or something else? Yeah, dude. So Space Marines 2 came out, people were playing it, I saw it, and I was just like, what a ripoff on Gears of War, because I love Gears of War, and that's the only thing I played that looked like this.
Now it is memed a lot.
I played other stuff too, but not that looked like that, and I thought they ripped them off, and my stepdad set me straight. He's all, yo, Space Marines has been around for a long time. Warhammer's been around for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if Gears of War didn't rip them off. Yeah, dude. Sure enough.
Inquisitors generally don't like to do
sure enough, they
but
did.
it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it.
After finding that out, I was like, okay, I'll give Warhammer a shot. I'll check out some videos and some gameplay. And the rest is history.
Options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well. And personally, they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them. And they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk
since
about
the 80s. Yeah, dude, wild. And that's why I'm like, where have I been? Have I really been under a rock this long? Why has nobody told me about this? I thought the only tabletop game there was Dungeons and Dragons.
People do it, I think.
I didn't know there was a whole
it adds a little more humanity to the
collection of tabletop games. I had no
wow,
idea.
We just finished the humans. All right, come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos gods.
Yeah,
and
dude.
All the Chaos Marine legions and the Tau.
Then there will be a
and, oh boy,
stop motion episode of a Lego slushy van in January 25. Heck yeah, Ubi. Keep up the good work, bro. Respect. That's a wild statement. No, right? been very obscure for some reason. I'm glad it's finally getting its flowers. 40K is my favorite universe. Yeah, dude.
With Curacao home deals.
If I would have known about this years and years ago,
$49 each. Or
you wouldn't. Well, I guess you wouldn't be seeing this if I knew about it years and years ago. Or you might, but I don't know, dude.
Introducing the
Like, I'm stoked.
BBQ grill, portable and powerful.
Stupid commercials. All right, we're gonna go on the next one.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on the Warhammer races. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperium of Man. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode. If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos, which involves humans again, but a little bit less. We also got demons and shit.
I just felt someone grab my ass.
What?
Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence. Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible. There are demons everywhere. Things are crazy. All your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both formless and empty. It is vast and tiny. It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort. It is a hodgepodge and
so it's just chaos place.
Unknowable, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods. And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods. First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest.
Yeah, I've never had like a reason to go to a hobby shop either, so I've never ran into those kinds of people. Like the most I've ever been to is like a card shop where they're having, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering tournaments, Pokemon.
Fury and strength of battle.
That's like the closest I've been to
blood comes from,
socializing in a store with people.
He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death. That is Khorne. Very simple to understand.
I've been to like video gaming tournaments that like GameStop would have, like when a new game comes out, like when
so many different other ways. He's the most
when there's something
of all the demon gods.
That everybody's stoked for. They'll sometimes do like a little friendly competition the night of release.
Scheming and doing
his
best
a couple times
to cause as much little bullshit as he can. Tzeentch is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do.
That guy unfortunately appears every once in a while.
Every type of destiny or fate.
Wait, did I miss it?
Is all
the guy that he's got on screen right now? Let me go back a couple just in case. Oh, is it this guy?
Death. That.
Appears every once in a while. There's a few stores around where I grew up, had regular tournaments, casual games going, a lot of fun. Close exception for one. Oh, yeah, it sucks that they've been closing them. I agree. Everyone fantasy
that is Khorne. Very simple to understand.
Next in game stores. Nice, dude.
Is the god of change.
Yeah,
however, the god of change, it's permeates in so
I don't know how I missed
out
on game stores.
Of all the demon gods, he has this weird.
I was playing a lot of video games too, like
strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best.
When the GameCube came out, I got a Nintendo 64.
Everything that makes sense, he
kind of thing. So I was for a long time I was like one system behind.
And every type
but
of
when GameCube came out, I got an N64.
Is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also.
A few years after that, I finally got a GameCube.
He knows what.
And then the Wii came out like soon after that.
And also that none of it's going to happen. You would ask Tzeentch a question. And that question leads to 3 more questions, and those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then
there's a Games Workshop store like.
And are you even asking the questions?
Maybe like 20 miles away from here.
Answers and,
no, maybe not 20, maybe 15.
Tzeentch is just
it's a little out of the way.
Fuck with stuff. He is yes,
but,
and he is no.
I should make a trip there sometime. I know everybody says like support your local hobby stores,
very
but
bizarre. And he likes birds a lot.
yeah, like I said, the
don't
closest
know
one is
why.
way over there.
Next
There's a
up, we
hobby
got
store
Papa
around here somewhere.
Nurgle.
It's like
Papa
5
Nurgle,
miles
he
away,
loves you for who
but
you are.
I don't
Probably
know
not.
if they'll
He will
have
murder
any
you just the
Warhammer
same.
stuff.
But
I'm
Papa
sure they'll
Nurgle is
probably
about
will.
rot, pestilence,
But
death, and decay. He is the
but I didn't like
end
do that
of
much homework on
everything.
it.
Him and
I
Zeech do not like each other
I
very
just saw,
much
hey,
because
where's the
Zeech
closest one?
represents change and adjustment,
this is where they're
Nurgle
at.
represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence and large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sedentary, sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way and broken down through just sheer never-ending decomposition. So the joke that Nurgle always loves you is generally because of that, because we all end up the same. We all
those places. Hell yeah, dude.
Die and wither. That's
Cyber hubs.
He's got a general
cyber hubs.
Pestilence and
I've definitely been to those a few times.
Sickness and things of that nature. That's
There's
generally
one
Nurgle.
down the street from where I used to live.
Well, and he chunk. Finally, we
Yogis.
have
It was
the
called
youngest
Yogis
of the Chaos
Cyber
God,
Hub.
that is Slanesh, also known as the Prince of Pleasure or the God of Unspeakable Excess. Slanesh is generally referred to with
There's an actual
sex,
DW store,
but it's not only sex. It's just that's a good avenue if you want to.
Woo, that's a long ways.
Slanesh is just the idea
hour?
of the.
I guess I shouldn't complain about my 15-minute, 15-mile one away. 15-mile one.
See, we'll discuss Slanesh a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar because they done fucked up.
Counter-Strike, yeah, that's what I remember people playing also when I was going to my cyber hub.
Or whatever is mainly about just the excess of emotions, and therefore sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly pain
more important
and torture.
Yeah,
lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related or drug related. Lots of drugs.
I definitely, when I get my next set, I will go to a hobby shop and support them.
Extremes in sadness,
for sure.
Extremes in pain and sadism and masochism.
We got this one off of Amazon.
And of course, that goes along with the sex part of it as well.
It was convenient.
It's generally referred to with sex because of the color scheme.
But yeah, dude, since I love this so much and I actually want to like interact with some people and
exposed nipples and stuff,
talk a little bit. I mean, I'm interacting with you guys, of course, but you know, somebody that's got the tabletop out right there and they're actually playing, I can like watch and see and be like, yo, bro, how is he doing that?
A lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear because it is unspeakable excess. The Prince of Pleasure.
What's CSS?
Excess to the point where it is just sheer.
I know what C++ is, but CSS, I'm not too sure.
A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes.
Yeah,
but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar layer in this video, you'll understand it far, far better and far more than you'd want to. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join Chaos? They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right? Well, the
nice
thing
to
is that, of
support
course,
brick and mortar.
Your mind is put into the warp and the materium, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or say low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally refer. However,
you'll get equivalent that's Amazon discount if you frequently visit your local shop. Oh yeah?
Isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good
3D
things.
printed
All the
bits
different chaos gods have another side to their coin. Korn might be death, murder, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Korn will never lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah, next, for sure. I'm gonna go and check it out on the next one.
Korn is about straight up mono e mono.
Now looking back, I kind of feel bad that I didn't.
We're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing.
We're not going to do that again. We're going to go and we're going to check shit out.
Him and Zeech generally don't get along because Zeech is that conniving
schemer. Look up the videos called South Central Warhammer.
Where there is
it's a really nice video. I think you'll enjoy it.
For your problem.
Yeah, South Central?
Galaxy, the ability to
it's not that far from where I'm at. Well, it depends what county I guess you're talking about.
Destiny and can control whatever you want. The changer of ways. That is Zeech.
City,
and of course, Zeech and Nurgle hate each other because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents
So good for
finality, an ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will end and how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality, that ability.
I was
that
actually
this
thinking
is
about that the
over.
other day. Do people that have 3D printers just print their own? But then I also heard that it's not allowed in tournaments to
live
print your own.
and die and rot.
They have to be
And with that,
official
it brings peace of mind.
from them, I
Slaanesh
guess.
is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. Slaanesh embodies happiness. Slaanesh embodies excitement and joy and pleasure. Not only in the sense of the physical, you know,
We got some censored Slaanesh over there.
pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink
2019.
and air on your cheek and sunlight, the feeling, emotion and feeling. All of that is also represented with Slaanesh. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and want to murder everybody? I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly, who cares? I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him. So cool. So combining all this together, on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee-based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring, tons of spells. Generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are, as they seem, demons. Nurgle is slow. Khorne is super scary in melee. You've got Zeech, who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then Slaanesh, who is all melee, really fast, and squishy, but in
I don't got no
lots of
3D printer, so they don't got to worry about me at all.
Of course. So overall, the demons are
yeah, if somebody wanted to do it cheaper, yeah,
and a massive
I would think get yourself a 3D printer and you can just print them out yourself. But
however, the big part about demons
that's
is
right.
also
I don't.
transferred into
I don't mind. It's part of the hobby, going and picking it up
are
and
the Chaos Space Marines.
talking to people and doing that. Right? I missed out on that piece, which I'm not gonna do again.
More getting out there. More soaking it up.
I like the bits.
Pacifico. Lights waiting.
Some bits in my mind.
So Horse and all of his boys, all of them in the Primarchs, they have all also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legions, specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, I bet you some people make some wild stuff that you couldn't get
are a whole lot different than the
Games
regular Space
Workshop.
Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They specialize in different kinds of things, and also a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater is it greater demons?
But what I wanted to ask was, is Mordheim like a tabletop game, or is all tabletop games? Because you say not all Mordheim games. Is Mordheim the brand?
Considering the raw strength and firepower,
Or is that like Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons and Dragons? Is that Wizards of the Coast? Is that what they're called?
And immediately fighting you.
Something like that.
It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I gotta write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch Fulgrim, loyal to Slaanesh. These people, they are
Slaanesh.
messed up people. They're just
Show me.
sensory overload, tons of drugs, tons of torture. And I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now. And oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like. At least on the tabletop, because the Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch Perturabo, I believe is his name. They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve Chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the four. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and a major rival. Perturabo, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like, because Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Conrad Kurz. Conrad Kurz is dead, which is good because he's
I gotta be careful because my kung fu grip keeps on pushing the nail file like, into the plastic while I gotta be easy and just lightly brush it away.
Angron.
Not push
if you
against
think
the
you've known an
plastic.
angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know. Angron removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier.
What? He removed part of his brain
Fucker's mad.
so he
You've
could
got
be
the
angrier.
Death Guard with Primarch Mortarion. They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. Mortarion himself is actually
Not good
one
people.
of the models.
That's
And look
one
at him.
way to put it.
Look at him. It's so cool looking. Of course, Nurgle based, obviously. So very slow, but very tanky. You got the Word Bearers with Primarch Lorgar. Lorgar is, I believe, still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning. At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch Horus. Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch
I'll have to
Alfarius
check
Omegon.
that out.
Chaos, I
Mordheim.
think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Suns with Primarch Magnus the Nerd.
I mean, I'm real stoked with
Thousand
the
Suns also have their own
Warhammer
book, just
stuff
the
right
Death
now.
Guard. Magnus is also a
But,
tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell, and they're all super
As for
heavily
like
cyber
figurines and
kind of
stuff, I want to
Egyptian
check out what
They look
those
pretty
guys
neat.
look like.
But overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as
like we're
the Death
doing
Guard
all
and
right,
Thousand
you
Suns, as
guys.
they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this
I'm gonna
right here.
Start
This
putting
is
the
a really
last,
good
not
way
the
to
last,
describe
but
the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed
last couple
fools with
pieces
their
to
broken
this.
corpse of an emperor fail to understand is
Always
that
have to
not
keep checking
only
the
can they
box.
never defeat us,
Termagant.
but they cannot hide or flee
And the last
or
couple
shield
arms for the
themselves from
Termagant
triumph
on.
of chaos. They are finite, and we are unbound.
Still
Undivided.
tabletop
They
war
must
games,
not
but
err,
Warhammer
or they
and
shall fall to
Necromunda
heresy. All who
are
fall
similar scale.
join our
Okay.
cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a
Yeah,
willing
I don't even know
recruit.
how to
They
like how to
strive
play this
merely to
yet.
hold back our
I
fury and might,
I
and
haven't
it
gotten to the
consumes
part of the
them.
book yet
Thus,
where
you
it
can
says
see chaos is
Marine's turn
inevitable. We
and
lurk not only beyond their
Tyranid's
grasp
turn.
and at their gates, we
So
lurk
I'm
with the
not too
darkness
sure
of their
exactly
souls
how
on the
I
tip of
play
their
and use the
tongues in their
dice or anything like
tortured
that.
dreams. We are them,
But
freed from
we're
the
learning.
shackles of
I'll have to watch
ignorance.
people playing
We
and
are
see
them, grown
how it
strong,
does.
evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could
Instead of
probably
armies,
get
you
rid
have
of Space
war
Marines
bands
a
in the
decent amount, the
games.
Chaos Space Marines that is, but
Okay.
every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul will end up back in the warp, and depending on how hard
And you
you kill
control
them,
all the gangs
they
and
will
war
come
bands
back at some
like
point.
yourself.
Every
And do you have
demon
your
you
own little
banish
guy on the
will
field that's like
return
your
at
own
some
dude,
point.
like the commander or
Chaos
something? Or
is
you're just pretty much
unstoppable.
the
war
god
is
figure above the
unending.
tabletop
And
commanding
while
everything?
maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming and is just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are without number, their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary. So,
There's a 40K
I
RPG
promise,
called
we're done
Wrath
with
and
humans
Glory
now.
that's
Let's
similar
talk
to
about
D&D,
some Xenos.
but with a different dice system, but that's also a pretty cool game.
So let's talk about
into
the
that stuff.
Eldar, or also known as the
Okay.
Eldari, which are a super
Called
hyper-specialized and very technologically advanced
Yeah, I'm
race
not too
of,
sure exactly.
well, elf people. They were as well responsible
I'm not.
for
I don't
the
know what I'm
creation
into yet for the
of
tabletop
Slanesh, the newest
field
demon
of
god.
games.
How'd they do that?
For sure, I'm into building them and painting them because
World-ending scale.
that's already
So back in the day,
badass.
it was just Khorne's
But if the
H2O.
gameplay is actually
And the
like
Eldar are
more
very,
badass than that,
very
then
ancient.
woo,
Millions
I'm gonna have a
of
good
years.
time.
These Eldar, however,
I'm already having
have
a good
bit
time.
Of a
This
sensory
is great.
problem. You know, every kind of
And
pain or
even if I
feeling
don't
you
like the
have
gameplay and
is a little
stuff,
bit amplified compared
putting
to
them
the
together and
normal.
painting them is
However, with Eldar,
still
as their race
relaxing,
advanced
fun,
so
chilling.
excessively,
Here we go,
and
you guys.
became
One
so
more.
self-reliant,
Finish.
and everything became so easy. There was no requirement
Hell
for
yeah.
food production anymore. There was no shortages. Everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable, and that comfort breeded this weird sedation.
It was a Warhammer
and that
Fantasy RPG
sedation
like D&D
breeded the
2,
requirement for more and more
but it's out of
debauchery.
print. Oh, maybe they'll bring it back. maybe
When
with
everything
this
you
like
have can be so easily acquired,
with everybody
you will
getting
end
into this
up down
Warhammer
this
stuff,
road
they'll be
of
like, hey,
pure
well maybe we'll bring back some of the
all
old
the
games that,
senses
you know,
the Eldar
fell
had that were
off.
so powerful, things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil
Foreign
and
models is a
good,
great
all
start.
needed to be
Nothing wrong with
satisfied
that.
and
Yeah, dude, we're
satiated.
doing it.
And the
And eventually, I
desire
think
to
I'm gonna
satiate these
fall
senses
deeper
grew
into the
more
hole,
and
but
more with
oh,
worse
dude,
and
it's
worse
it's a
debauchery.
good
It started off
couple
with
feet
things
into the
like
hole so
sex
far.
and
I'm down.
drugs becoming so much
Let's
more
get it done,
rampant
homie. We're
because
doing
these are the
it.
first things you generally turn to when
You have a leader in
requirements for
both,
living are
but
so
you gain
easily
levels and
accessible.
skills
It would get to
in
the
the
point that
skirmish.
made Sander Cohen in Bioshock look sane.
For all units,
All
I
right,
can't
this is the
explain
kind
it
of
in
debauchery
chat. Yeah,
it
no
led to.
worries.
It was
That's pretty
constantly
cool.
satisfying and satiating these sexual
Dude,
and
yeah, dude.
sadistic or masochistic
I'm sinking
fantasies
fast.
that only elevated and elevated. And this was
They bring back anything we need. Space
People
Hulk
started going down
updated. Space Hulk, huh?
more depraved and more violent paths as time went on. However, some people didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar
I'm just
were
thinking about
looking
Bruce
at this
Banner over there on the other
depraved species
planet
they
with
had become
that one guy,
and said,
the Collector.
No thanks for me, dog. I'm
Big
good.
Chill.
And they bailed. These are the Craft World Eldar.
The Fly.
They left on these giant continent-sized starships
Tickled them.
called Craft Worlds. They believed in learning the old ways of
The last
Eldar
Star Wars
and
RPG
pushing
is
away
based
from this
of
depravity and
Warhammer
debauchery
Fantasy
and
Role
going
Playing
back to
3rd
their
Edition.
main roots. And so they would segment
What?
themselves on these
Last
giant
Star Wars
craft worlds
RPG?
far in the outer reaches of space. They even had this thing called the Webway. Remember what we mentioned about warp travel with the Imperium? Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway. And the Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket
I had no idea they had Star Wars ones for this too.
And in that pocket
mean,
dimension, there were also more horrible.
I guess obviously they would because it's so popular, but like
spend their time in there.
never even
And
crossed
if you
my
imagine
mind.
debauchery was bad already,
Wow,
these
that's
were
awesome.
debauchery X10.
I'd be down to
all
check
of
that
this
out too.
Continued, and it continued.
Damn,
and it
that guy looks
glowed
crazy.
until Slaanesh just burst forth. All that emotion, all that mental, well, thought processes, I suppose.
We've been in for 240. Okay, so we're gonna
shot all their souls as well.
Oh, damn.
Into the
All right.
warp. All this
So we're gonna finish this episode,
so what happened?
and we're gonna kill the
Boom.
stream
Slaanesh
pretty
was
much after
burnt
this episode.
and killed off 90%
Just so you guys
of the
know.
entire Eldar population.
But we'll keep building until the episode ends.
Trillions had their souls ripped from their bodies.
We still got
and their actual fleshy
38
bodies
minutes.
devoured by Slaanesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed. To the
38
Prince
minutes
of
should get
Pleasure.
me 3 hours
All
and
of
15
them
minutes on the stream, I think.
Fucked up. It was so bad that it literally ripped a warp hole into the fabric of the materium called the Eye of Terror. That's literally this like quasi horrifying gateway portal from the materium and the immaterium right next to Cadia.
Yeah. Cheers, you
And it is
guys.
horrifying. So this Slaanesh, also known as
Thank you for being here. Thank you for
Thirst
watching.
by
Don't
the
forget to hit
Eldar,
that like. I
slaughtered
appreciate it. Thank
the
you.
entire population except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this as they were so far in the reaches of the
Zombicide.
galaxy. That crazy crack, that birth of Slaanesh only affected the ones in the center. So these craft world Eldar were able to escape, but Slaanesh got their sights on them.
Damn.
Every time a Eldar
Well, I
would
hope
die,
they
their
bring
soul doesn't
back
just pass
Space
into the
Hulk for
warp
you guys.
naturally. It goes straight to Slaanesh, craft world or not.
I
What about those
can-
people in the web?
I can see the
Well,
excitement in
imagine that
the
giant
in the
birth
comments,
happening,
in
but
the
they
chat.
were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slaanesh was just barely able to hold on.
21 and
These
22.
people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as the Drukhari. The
The
Eldar
Drukhari,
population
Dark
right now
Eldar,
is
huh?
so massively small. It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population up because as their souls are constantly being hungered by from Slaanesh, they realize their entire species is doomed. and they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to. Though our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence.
Damn, that sounds wild.
I cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses with all the malice of a demon that is dreaming, casting its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the Monkai warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to his traitorous son, is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths. I see the stars stained red with the blood of the Monkai, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my destiny. And now let's talk about cute plastic models.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
The first playable race we have for the Eldar are the Craft World Eldar and living in those Craft World starships.
Some of that homemade terrain.
And each of them have their own kind of Craft World, almost like a Space Marine Legion.
I have to check it out. I've seen people use those magnetic square kits.
Kind of group. And the Eldar themselves are very fast and rely a lot on trickery. They are squishy, a bit weak, but they're very in tune as psychers. Tons of psychers across the entire Eldar population, and their weaponry and abilities are fast and extremely hard-hitting, but of course rather fragile. Understanding an Eldar's brain is an exercise in futility. They are all over the place in confusion and trickery on a whole galactic scale. They fight weird, they think weirder, and Eldar
they fight weird, they think weirder.
Really rely on this to keep their species alive. They need to think about deception and the strangeness of what they do if they truly want to not be immediately murdered and slaughtered wholesale thanks to their entirely small population. However, I must say that it seems like their population is getting slightly better. These craft worlds hold millions upon millions of people, and as they continually, reproduce and have their craft worlds expand, losing a few people in battle, while hurts a lot, they aren't really losing what's extremely precious to them. It's not like every single death means the death of their species. It seems like they're kind of on the upturn a little bit. They're still a doomed race being sucked into Slaanesh every time someone dies, but they are definitely doing a little bit better than they were before. Eldar are fast, cunning, and what they don't make up for in tankiness, they make up for in extremely advanced
Warcraft. The rest is history. Yo!
That is a derogatory slur for humans in the Warhammer world. Why is it called Monkai? Well, it's because you can't, in your game, call people monkeys.
Blizzard was built
on the tabletop, exactly what I said.
Games
Not very
Workshop.
tanky, generally pretty squishy.
Damn, dude, no Warhammer, no Warcraft,
fast, hit hard,
no Starcraft.
Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time too. We bring only death and leave only carry on.
Wild.
It is a
it's
message
wild to think.
Even a human can understand. Eldar. So, Drukhari. Let's talk about the Dark Eldar.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up is Fucked Up. That's fucked up.
So those people I mentioned in the web, the super deranged cults and the depraved people of the Eldar, in the webway, they didn't quite get a hold onto them. Slaanesh has them, but it has them on by the pinky finger. And they're slowly being consumed by Slaanesh, but they found out they can stave her off by doing Slaanesh things. The Dark Eldar are by far the worst, most horrifying, disgusting, depraved, and brutal race in all of Warhammer 40k. These are entirely a group of people whose full purpose to save their species from extinction, to go into planets, raid them, and take as many slaves as they possibly can to torture them for 1, 5, 10, 20, a million years.
Bruh.
Because that torture will keep them from dying.
Oh,
They look
yeah?
very BDSM style too.
Oh,
They
shit.
definitely have a lot more spiky bits, and they have a lot more of that kind of
Hey, girl.
leathery black look to them. But let's say you are an upstanding Imperial citizen, living life on a regular planet. You get invaded by the Necrons. The Necrons will shoot you with a deatomizer, and you will be destroyed in a
deatomizer,
millisecond.
nice.
And that's it. Not the worst way to go. You are invaded by Chaos Marines or something.
Or
You take
something.
A bolter shot to the head or a chain sword across your stomach, and you get cut in half. Painful, but not the worst. The orcs arrive. They beat you to death. Hurts, but, you know, whatever. Tyranids, they eat you alive. It's pretty rough. The Dark Eldar. This is going to get a little graphic. I apologize. You pray you die. You don't. You are instead taken as a human slave. Your life will be endless work and agony, 24/7. They will make sure you can't not die,
Oh,
as
wow.
your pain satisfies them. They will hook you up to all manner of torture devices. They will inject pain-based
Autocorrect his ass. Yeah, I know. No worries. I knew what you were talking about, though.
They will slowly
Dark Elder are some seriously sick people. Yeah, dude, that's
they will
wild.
Fillet you and just pull out your teeth and your fingernails one by one. They will remove your appendages and your skin and wait for it to grow back so they can do it again. They will murder and torture and use the R word, it rhymes with grape, your entire family in front of you, and do the exact same thing to them.
Oh,
you
wow.
yourself will also be rhymes with grape anywhere and everywhere possible. And this will occur for 20 years until you are no longer satisfying to them. And then you will be contorted, crushed, and twisted into some form of trophy. A fleshy trophy, or a ring, or a couch,
Dude.
or a TV stand, or perhaps a wonderful hat. While you are, of course, still
Is he
alive
exaggerating
and
at all?
breathing,
No, right?
and you will become a moaning,
Holy shit.
fleshy trophy for eternity. And that is what happens when you are taken by the Dark Eldar. They are the most depraved, most horrifying race in all of 40k. They look the part, and they do it so they all don't die. They are literally forced to do this, because if they don't, Slaaneish's grip will get harder, and they will have their souls pulled away. So long as they keep doing this, Slaanesh is like, "You're doing good, man. You're doing solid. You keep that shit up, you elf."
Yep, they keep you alive,
bastards."
dark shit.
That's the Dark Eldar. That's the Drukhari.
He's not exaggerating,
They're
no.
horrible.
Damn.
On the tabletop, they're actually kind of like Eldar, but
He is
more
summarizing.
extreme. They
That's
are even
wild.
squishier than the Eldar, but they hit generally even harder. Fast attacks, skirmishers, really quick, speedy, like get around them, do a lot of damage, get away kind of stuff. That's most of the Dark Eldar. Look up the definition of grim dark in a dictionary. You'll find a picture of the Dark Eldar.
Okay.
And Sev from Public Commando.
Oh,
A quote
shit.
From Mr. Vecht. "We are the lords of despair, masters of terror. Dread and agony are our meat and wine, and they are plentiful indeed."
Damn, dude.
Dark Eldar.
Sounds metal as hell,
Some of the
but
Harlequins.
woo, dark.
What's the matter, Andy? Don't you want to have some fun?
Harlequin, Harlequin, traveling. Arlecchino.
Clown performers. They're like a weird mix of Sander Cohen from BioShock and
Oh, shit,
Jin
nice.
from League of Legends, but in a more clown theme. They're artists of death and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to Craft Worlds or any of the weird Drukhari people. They guard something called the Black Library, which is this giant tome of never-ending knowledge deep in the heart of the Eldar webway, and also guarded by their god.
My homie
Tegel,
played
I believe is
Hyos
how you
and
pronounce his
Dark
name. He is
Eldar.
the laughing god.
Damn,
but
dude.
it's the Eldar's laughing god? And these are the Harlequins, the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns, okay? So imagine the things that an Eldar, these depraved individuals, would find funny. And this is the god of that. It's a horror. clown. These are gods of
Yeah,
horror
I'm not down for
us
clowns.
normal people. For them, they're like, oh, it's so funny. They're all dying horribly. Honk, honk. They're very bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of Slanesh somehow, but their main thing is
Dark
guarding
Elves
that black
versus Skaven
library.
sucked
And the
back in the day.
Harlequins
Clan rats
they're
just
demon
didn't
clown
stand a
performers.
chance.
They're barely any models on the tabletop. They're good in melee. They're demon clowns. I'm not sure. I got a quote. It is too easy for an Eldar to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for Slanesh is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim. Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum. They're very strange. The Harlequins, Drukhari, Eldar, they are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand in comparison. They range from rekindling their civilization to horrifying murder and also clowns. They're all over the place, but honestly, they represent quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole Slanesh murdering everyone bit. So, yeah, Eldar. Now, bugs.
Ma, they following me, Ma. They following me.
Tyranids.
The Tyranids. Now, you want to talk something a lot more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyranids. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You want to know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning.
Oh,
hence
shit.
why they look so much like Eldar Zerg.
Oh, wow.
The Imperium of Man.
Damn, dude.
Space Marine-y. Those Marines, huh? They look a little bit Space Marine-y to me. Maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that are basically all about absorbing as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extremely potent and powerful and kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least evil faction in all of 40k because all they want to do is eat shit. They want to nom nom the entire galaxy. They hangry and we food. Also, this Tyranid hive mind has a presence in the warp. In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp specifically, where when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars? Well, you need the warp because you need that for interstellar travel.
So if they can cut it off,
unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings.
Wow.
And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their
into more
other
Tyranids
into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all based on what is important. Tiny little ripper swarms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormagons, Termagants, and Gene Stealers, all the way to the Hive Guard and the Exocrines and the Swarm Lord, to Hive Tyrants and their giant battle fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant
Yeah, dude, that sucks.
Bison. The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely
And I almost got
good
into
at anti-biological
StarCraft
weaponry.
like
There
a
is
few
no way
months
you can
ago.
plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to
My buddy used to rock
how they
Dark
handle
Elves, and
all
I
their
had some
genetic material.
Skaven,
Keep feeding
and the
them,
moment
they'll
my
keep
poor
evolving.
boys
They keep
broke
on
and
creating
tried to
new,
retreat, he
horrifying
would crush me.
organisms to spread
Damn.
across the galaxy. And you know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is?
Before I get a copyright strike for the music.
we might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid hive fleets, Behemoth, Kronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets, and they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying, because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids.
Yeah, see that map behind him is
Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story.
Is that what we think? Look at how it's coming up from the bottom of the galaxy. Does that mean the whole galaxy is pretty much
swarming in, killing
that's
and
it?
eating everybody and
Eventually?
I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex, talk gene stealer cults.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Randy.
Gene stealer cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly infect themselves into different kinds of society. And by infecting them, they can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood lords, and I think they're called patriarchs, all can turn an entire world all based into gene stealers. And these are called gene stealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants of the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic code a little bit. They also have this cool like Mad Max look, which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the Imperium.
I like Mad Max.
Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium. They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school.
Oh.
There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper.
Gotta take care of them shit. Don't forget to paint that, people.
This horror, this
Paint that,
abomination
people.
has
Yeah,
thought
buddy.
and
Well, thank you
purpose
for
that
hanging
functions
out
on
and
an
chilling, bro.
unimaginable
I will catch you a little bit
galactic
later.
scale.
We'll be
And
here
all
doing
we
it.
do is to
I'll be
try to
throwing
stop
on
the
season 3 of
swarms
Stargate SG1 if
bioengineered
you got some
monsters
time
it
later.
unleashes upon us
Catch you
by
later, bro.
instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey. Tyranids, they're cool. But are they as cool as the orcs?
The orcs.
That means I'm super fast.
Orcs, 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 orcs.
This guy.
I love orcs. So, yes, the green monsters, the green tide, the green skins. These orcs, they are in fact a race in 40K. The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them.
Yeah.
The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are
Ain't
so
that
cool.
like?
Orcs
Yeah,
don't have
buddy, whatever you want
philosophy.
then.
Orcs don't have
I'll be back for
existential
SG1.
crisis.
Hell
What
yeah.
matters is who's the
I'll see you
biggest
then, bro.
orc. You listen to that
Cool.
guy, because he the biggest
Orcs are a
orc.
lot of
He
fun.
big
That's
orc,
what I
big
hear, that
orc
like
knows
it's like
best.
really
He
random
wins
for
the power of
orcs. You roll the
imagination.
dice and you just
Of all
handle.
the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy.
Oh shit, really?
How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an orc, you're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you can. The biggest orc is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent, which is just hilarious to me. Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss. If you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orcs.
Oh, shit.
And then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because orc dead. Orcs. They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs, and the biggest orc is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some orc behind you is like, oh, Zog, we're out of gas. And the big orc is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier, and all the other orcs are like, oh yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on, and it works again.
Are you serious?
Does it have gas? Probably not, but it works. The power of imagination.
What?
They paint things red because it makes them think that goes faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc? Didn't fucking think so. Orcs are also like ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Krorks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things.
There it is, you guys. We finished one more.
They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard. And it's called the Green Tide because there are so many orcs. There are about as many orcs as there are Tyranids.
Termagant.
Maybe more. Who knows? But they keep on,
termite.
each other, so it's not too bad of an
Terma.
issue. Orcs are entirely comic relief.
Try to remember with
Their
termite.
stuff is slapped together.
Things just
that
work.
makes
That's
no
wild.
sense. Their vehicles don't
Looks a
work
lot
the
of
way
fun. Yeah, they have the power of belief, but
because
don't
they
really
think
understand it. That's
works. They
crazy,
imagine
dude.
that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the
How
biggest
many
orc. And if they want
left?
to be the
1,
biggest
2,
orc, they'll
3, 4,
challenge the
5,
biggest orc.
6.
And then when they go
We got
and they issue
4
a
Termagants left, and the Ripper Swarm. Ripper Swarm's just
they
another little
murder
two-piecer.
everybody and everything in this giant tide of
We
green
got
orcs
how much
who are
more
just
in this
excited
video?
to be hitting something. They don't
58,
care that they're hitting
42.
Eldar
Got like
or the
15,
Imperium
16 more
or
minutes.
Tau or anyone in
Let
between.
me
They just so they get to beat
let me
shit
start
up.
clipping out another
That's orcs. And on the tabletop, they
Termagant.
are a total coin flip, and they're
We'll see how far we get on that one
I have never met
by the time I
salty
kill the stream.
orcs.
Oh, I'm actually
I have never met
done with
someone
this
who plays orcs and is ever just
sprue.
a bad guy or that guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play
we got
them,
one more
you are
sprue left.
completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing. Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything. From the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter.
You get
Half of
another
their
shot
stuff
off?
will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people. And if you don't, you lose. I mean, that's what you get when you play orcs.
That's pretty cool,
That's
dude.
what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orcs because things won't go your way. It's just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're gonna have fun and you want to be stupid and you want to be silly, you're gonna play some damn orcs.
That's pretty
but
cool,
on the
dude.
opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons.
Oh, nice. Some Doom music.
The Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark.
Hell yeah, the
They
Necrons.
have a much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way.
They
but
look
then
so
actually have a
badass.
Story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron, Necron tier. So the Necron tier were this race of
Orc players
generally
are famously chill.
kind of
Nice.
shitty people. Not because they were
You
personally
gotta be,
shitty,
man.
because
If
their
you're just going
lives were
rando
awful.
just to have
They were
fun and a good
ill-fated
time,
to a
you
horrible
gotta be chill as
existence
hell.
Of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right? These Old Ones were these strong, pretty much omnipotent beings. And they, of course, knew the key to immortality. So the Necrons went to them and said, please,
Hook us up, and
show
they're like,
us your
no.
ways. And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not
Nice.
really. They were a lot more humble about it, but they did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well and waged war with them, kind of under this united banner. The Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to unite his race was to do this giant war with the Old Ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually like a multi-stage war, because during this War in Heaven, they discovered the Star Gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan, or the Catan. These Star Gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey, can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek.
Wow, so they got what they wanted, huh?
The King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap.
Of course.
The Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell, as their souls were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan.
Wow, so I guess be careful what you wish for.
They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then, with their new-founded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the Old Ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these Old Ones. The Old Ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orcs, to try to fight off the horrifying
they made
Necron
the Orcs?
army and the Catan above them. But there was absolutely no possible chance for them. And the Old Ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely.
You really don't need an excuse to order McDonald's.
Mute that.
But there are deals in.
And dude, having a good time over here. We're making some pieces. We're almost there. What I'll probably do is finish the last couple off screen or whatever, and I'll spray them with the what is it? Paint. It's not paint. Primer. Excuse me. Damn, brain farts. So I'll probably spray them with primer, and then sometime next week, Sunday or Tuesday, we'll start painting. Sunday or Tuesday, we'll start the paint job. A lot of the races were made by the Old Ones. Oh, okay. Oh.
100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small differences. Doesn't matter.
Tyler!
The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point.
Where'd you go,
as
bro?
They began just menially fighting each other, the Eldari and the Orcs actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full
The Silent King
revolt against their Catan masters.
Nice,
and
dude.
this
What'd you
revolt
have?
Was bloody, as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be
a lot of stuff
slaves
chicken. Heck
to the
yeah,
Necrons.
dude.
And with the Necrons having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Krorks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back and they see all these primitive races on their lawns and they think, get the fuck off of it. The Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, on a tabletop, they're a lot like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units to fight with. It's pretty cool. The Necrons are one of the three major events in 40k. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more. Necrons are also pretty smug. Trays in the Infinite especially, a little dickhead. But speaking of dickheads, last race.
Last race,
Let's
huh?
talk the Tau.
The Tau, huh?
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood.
This is the youngest
However,
empire, right?
A long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race, blue people, smacking each other with sticks and stones. They thought, nah, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire.
Badass.
They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group. All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets being the Imperials,
40k
who are
Federation
actually kind of dicks and,
Dude, yeah,
like
that's
to pull
badass.
strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together in this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy. The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good. That is generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. And they got giant mechs with tons of missile pods and heavy
That's so
rifles
cool,
and
dude.
rail guns and burst cannons and
Gundam
ionic
shit, you know?
accelerators and void shields and all this stuff. And that is generally what the Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, Bricky, this doesn't sound that evil. This doesn't sound very grim, dark Warhammer. And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grimdark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So, see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40k universe very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has. They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orcs do. And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at ranged combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat. So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time, because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But this is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that the Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of Tau weeaboo jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool and what you like. In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall. You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like the look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is badass, because things change all the time. But the universe of Warhammer has so much going for it. Every faction has something interesting.
Good advice.
Every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing, and horrible, that is the damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these two videos, is anything you could take away is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it so much. Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, you can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you. If you'd like to see more of me, Bricky, you have twitch.tv/Bricky for my streams. You have my merchandise site, in which I was wearing all of my merch, but underneath this,
dude,
so it wasn't black or white for the green screen, which is a little
Bricky did good.
It's fine. If you'd like to see merch, it is
good job in his videos, dude. He does good videos. Edits well, funny.
/Bricky for more videos like this, then that would also be wonderful. So Twitch, merch, Patreon, anything if you want to support, that would be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm just stoked you got all the way to the end of the video, and that is enough for me. So we're going to be having some more content like this out in the future. Thank you so much for sticking around this long and being with me through this pretty rough time. That's, I think, all I got. Also, before I go, let me leave you with my favorite Warhammer quote. He who scoffs at the power of the las gun has never ran through a field of 1,000 of them. Bye-bye.
Alright.
Refresh your home this fall with Curacao Home Deals. Grab a portable Ninja or Oster blender for just $49 each.
Yeah.
Or a 5-piece dining.
Kill that. Kill that. Kill that. Put the music back on. It was fun, dude. I'll catch you next time. Yeah, buddy. Tau are the 40k federal. Okay, yeah. I'll catch you next time, bro. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. We're just gonna finish putting this last guy together. No more than 5 more minutes, and no more than 3 more minutes, and we're gonna call it a stream. But yeah, dude, I appreciate everybody for being here, hanging out, chilling, giving me some videos to watch, catching up on some lore. I feel like I'm really far behind, so we're slowly making our way. This guy seems like he has an extra, like, spot for something there. Am I tripping? I put the leg on, but he's still got a hole there. Maybe I pulled out the wrong arm? Possibly? Double check the numbers. Check the numbers again. We're supposed to be 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th one. Six and 25. Yeah, we pulled those out. Oh, did I clip the wrong spot? Oh my goodness, I think I did. There's no way. I clipped the wrong spot on one, you guys. Since it has a little hole for it, I think we could just slip it on without a problem. Hopefully we'll see. Maybe file it down a little bit because it's all pinched right there. Alright, this is how we learn. How did that happen? Put that arm on. Where did a piece go? I just had it. There it is. Maybe not. Fuzzy. No, it was. Goes in the hole, goes down, pull and down. I'm gonna get myself some tweezers for this little piece. Yeah, kinda. looks alright, but I don't know about that. And the gun is the last piece. Hell yeah. All right. There it is. The last termagant of the stream. Cool, dude. Well, you guys, it was fun. It's been real. We had a good time. Thank you guys for hanging out, chilling, relaxing, watching me make some 40K, catching up on some lore. I'm about 40 years too late, but you know, better late than never, right? All right, you guys, I appreciate you guys for being here, for hanging out. I will catch you guys a little bit later. We're going to be watching Stargate SG-1 Season 3 in a few hours. And yeah, dude, here we are, we're doing it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.